Bitch, you wanna trap like bitch, you wanna trap like
here tonight. My name is Little Ramble alongside Austin Edstrom, and together we are bringing you all of the coverage for the TNGG IEL SuperSpeedway Blitz. Austin, what a drive it's going to be for everybody here coming on over into this final crucial race of the season. For Michael Gudger, all he's got to do is effectively start this race, locking up the points title pretty much more so on by default. If he wasn't here, it might be a bit more of a concern. But right now, I see nothing stopping that 64 truck from claiming victory after Brad Slagle's issues last week at America's Home for Motorsports.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, if not impossible, for Brad Slagle to make up that. At the end of the day, still last race of the season. Everybody here wants to end off the season on a W, go into the off season with their head held high, knowing that, hey, I won that last race of the year. Maybe if I had a little bit better of a season going for me towards the middle part of it, I could have done a little bit better and found myself fighting for that championship in the end. I think that's what everybody out here is probably trying to prove, and just being able to prove that they can be here next year and maybe give the 64 truck a fight for the next season championship. But nonetheless, still excited to see who brings it home, who gets the checkered flag here tonight, and probably see Michael Gudger, sorry, I can't even say his last name, Gudger, rack up the championship.
Yeah, Michael Gudger is going to definitely be a big contender when we get down to the regular series season come February into the new year, and I think that's going to be a really big sign of things to come, right? I mean, Gudger entered this series as a bit of a new driver. It wasn't a driver that everybody was going to be totally sure on where he was going to fit in, but I think we figured out where he fits in, and it's going to be effectively at the top here of the points board. So Gudger is going to be in great spirits when we get set to go racing next season, but I have a feeling this race won't be quite over just yet. There's going to be a lot to play for with 33 trucks on the line, and there's still 90 laps of racing action left in this season. It's a long race, and it's going to be a race, I think, where strategy will reign king.
Yeah, I feel like you get that just about every time we come to a super speedway. You want to make sure you're coming down pit road under green with a group of guys. You got to have a couple people on the voice chat button, just making sure that you're coming down, keep that draft going. You kind of make your friends through the race. Maybe you've got some planned out a little bit beforehand, just with certain teammates. But yeah, it really comes down to strategy if this thing runs green. If we get those cautions that breaks it up, typically there's not too much strategy. You typically just want to come down and fill that thing full of gas if you have not taken your last pit stop yet. But then after that last pit stop, it's all about track position, stay out, get up front, and try to win this thing at the end.
Currently nobody on the racetrack here in qualifying as the minutes wind down, so we're going to take a step back. We'll be back with your starting grid here on Green Flag TV. You're watching the season finale of the TNGG IEL Super Speedway Blitz.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, qualifying has just drawn to a close. We're ready to see how this race is going to line on up. So let's take a look at what your starting grid is going to look like. We get set to duke it out for one last bout of racing action from the world center of racing here at the Daytona International Speedway. Starting on the pole, you've got Bill Hales alongside Mike Campbell. Jim Duda and Rick Schneider will bring up third and fourth. Mike Allen and Dale Rapp will be back on row number 3. Mike Bagwell and Michael Gudger will be on row 4. Paul Witt and Thomas Lane Jr. round out the top 10.
11th place is going to be Dylan Simmons with, I don't know if that's George or Jorge, but Jorge Rincon in 12th. Kyle Simmons in 13th with Brennan Gregg in 14th. RJ Buchanan in 15th with Zane Bailey rounding out row number 8. Row 9 starts with John Spawalga, and it is rounded out by Brett Rucker. 19th is going to be Aaron Raymond, followed by Jordan Vicknair rounding out our top 20.
Harrison Whitehead making his first start of the TNGG competition will be in 21st with Julian Bellew down in 22nd. Brad Slagle is in 23rd with Jeff Gilmore in 24th. Raymond Hanneman is in 25th. Christopher Howell 26th. James Wartzman and Ryan McRoberts are at 27th and 28th. John Darnell and Kyle Howard will be in 29th and 30th. That leaves Thomas Coonan, Roy Huff, and Timothy Lee to close out the 33 truck field. Top 31 setting times of about a spread of a 10th and a half if you exclude Thomas Coonan from the equation. Timothy Lee, though, the lone driver not to put down a qualifying lap.
Nice strong 33 car field, even though typically this league, you brought it to my attention, runs a little bit different. They run hosted races and they have a couple open slots. Of course, with this being the championship race, no open slots tonight. It's still awesome to see 33 car field just of the league members. Really strong showing here tonight for the last race of the season.
And this is going to be a bit more representative of the type of racing action we're going to be seeing in the regular series season in terms of truck counts, right? I mean, we've had obviously several races being locked out at full 43. We're not going to get to that point, though, in the regular series season. We're hoping for, high 20s, low 30s. I think that's about what we could expect to see from the duration of this field as you see the pace truck starting to roll off of pit road. Bill Hales will be up in front, and Mike Campbell will be filing up just behind him. So 33 trucks rumbling to life, getting ready to go racing this time around for one final time. We talked about it, right? 90 laps. It's a long way. No 3 wide is allowed until lap 17, and lap 17, that's right about where we're going to be seeing our first pit stop window. So that's to kind of help us avoid the early caution strings that plate tracks are so well known for. And I'm curious to see if it's going to work. The last time we were at Daytona, it worked for about 10 laps, and then we wrecked anyway, even though we were just double file.
Yeah, I mean, I get the rule. I like it to an extent, especially with a long 90-lap race. But at the end of the day, man, too wide at a super speedway. I mean, I've been wrecked too wide. I've been wrecked single file at super speedways. So while it lowers the chance, absolutely, doesn't mean that you're not going to get a wreck. And too wide, if it's 2x2 all the way through the field, like we see on the Cup Series races on super speedways now with the next gen car, where you're just 2x2 all the way through the field, if they wreck in the second or third row, everybody behind them is scattering, and a lot of them are going to get collected anyway. So even though we're only going to have 2 wide racing here for the first 17 or so laps, you better believe there still might be some heavy pushing, some squirrely shoving through the corners. So looking forward to just kind of seeing who can hang on the best and get to the front.
We'll work down into turn numbers 3 and 4 for the final time as the iRacing pace truck will get set to make that left-hand dive into pit road. Jake Schwartzma, the lone truck not to grid up. He'll start this race from pit road, making it just a 32-horse race. As the field works out of the final corner, we're happy that you joined us here on this Saturday night as Bill Hales takes his number 53 into the restart zone. Pace trucks into pit road. We're gonna go racing one final time at Daytona.
Good orderly start here going down into turn number 1. Our pole sitter Bill Hales getting down into turn 1 with a good shove from Jim Duda from that P3 position. That bottom line is really hooked up there for the first couple of trucks and able to shove forward past that outside line pretty well coming off of turn number 2. That outside line should get pretty evened up down the back straightaway though, and we see the 71 get a pretty good shove from the 03 on the outside.
So far, looking like a smooth start all around. That 53 still holding strong, but look out for the 71 of Mike Campbell. Started on the outside front row. Now he's being pushed by the 03. I think that is the 03. Rick Schneider working the top side in the Mobile 1 Toyota Tundra, firing off of turn number 4 and working across the start-finish stretch. And it will be Bill Hales who will lead lap number 1 from Daytona as we kick off lap number 2, now fully up to speed.
Yeah, that bottom line's doing really well, just kind of hold their momentum, using the bottom side of the racetrack, shortest way around the track, just to kind of, keep that momentum up. Or not keep the momentum up, but keep the lead. The outside line's got a little bit more momentum coming off the corners, especially in this early going with that 03 right up the back bumper, the 71 here down the back straightaway, and it's actually going to allow them to get side by side, even with the race leader of the 53, Bill Hales. 71, Mike Campbell looking on the outside, taking the lead away before they get to turn 3, but it looks like that bottom lane's fighting back.
Now that inside lane starting to fight back as they work out of turn numbers 3 and 4. Jim Duda still the main pusher down from the low side. And this is what we're going to be looking to see for about these first 20 laps or so. It's just this double file action where we're not going to be seeing too much being made in the way of progress. I think right now a good chunk of this field, they're looking to just kind of ride around, right? I mean, for drivers like Bill Hales and Mike Campbell, of course, they're a bit worried about fuel consumption because they're going to be burning more fuel than everybody else. Jim Duda and Rick Schneider are burning almost as much fuel because they're the two main pushers. But everybody else behind for the Raps, the Bagwells, the Gudgers, and the lanes of the field, they're more contentious to ride around and save a bit of fuel here in the early going.
Oh, somebody dipped out a line on the underside. I thought they were about to be 3 wide just from somebody going under the apron on the back straightaway, but everybody kind of knows it's early in the going, and he was let back in. I believe that was the Valvoline truck towards the back, the 5 of John Bawalda, but he was able to get back in line. Now our race leader, Bill Hales, on the pole sit, or was the pole sitter, lost the lead just a little bit ago to the 71, gets it right back. I don't think he actually ever lost it at the line, but just switching all times between the laps, or during the lap. My goodness. Through 1s and 2s, though. That bottom side of the racetrack just does really well, but then that long back straightaway just lets that outside line get a good bit of steam. Just kind of even it out back down the back straightaway.
So we fire down the backstretch. Going to take a quick look back at the Green Flag TV replay as Dylan Simmons had a bit of a bobble and a scare coming off of turn number 4. You take a ride on board, but the driver that currently runs down to that 11th position as the 07 right off the corner. A bit of a twitchy kind of mid-corner there. Lucky that that didn't end in calamity as we're going to get ourselves back to live pictures. Bill Hales retakes that lead as the 71 slipping back and looking like Mike Allen trying to make a 3-truck breakaway for third.
Yeah, it was a little weird one. It's not normal, or it's not often you see somebody get loose coming off the corner to SuperSpeedway. I remember back in like 2016, 2017, the Cup cars in real life had a little bit of an issue off of turn 4, but that's about the only time I've seen somebody just lose it off of turn 4 all by themselves, where you could see He had just gotten a little high coming off of turn 4. Took that wheel just a little bit too much. Got that thing almost looped around, but good job holding on to it here in the early going. But on the outside, Michael Allen made a move on the front straightaway to get to the outside, get a push from the 71, our outside pole sitter. And now the 29 is looking for that race lead. He is side by side with our pole sitter, Bill Hales, right now going for 3 and 4.
Side by side with Hales, as it's 2 lines of plenty all the way back throughout this field. Michael Gudge, you see him in that purple and yellow LSU truck, about 5th in line on the top side of the racetrack. Remember, he effectively just had to start this race, and he was going to be smooth sailing, and that's looking like that will indeed be the case here tonight. Brad Slagle, of course, a good ways down through the field at the moment. He runs 28th. With a 34-point gap between them, Brad Slagle was having a hope that Gudger wouldn't be turning up with him on the racetrack. All Gudger's really got to do is just keep that truck in one piece and coast this one through to a championship.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how the points work. Maybe the winner gets, 5 bonus points or something compared to second. And if that's the case, then I think the only way that Slagle could win this thing is if Gudger finishes last or second to last and Slagle wins. So if that's the case, then that might be it. If it's not the case, then he might just be mathematically eliminated. I'm not 100% certain. But still, if you're Brad Slagle, you want a good finish out of this. You want to at least show that you were close in the points at the end. But up front right now, I'm a little nervous for the third place truck here on the inside. Every so often, he just kind of ducks out. That's the 053 of Jim Duda. He just kind of dips out, and it seems to be really early to where he's having to dip that nose out and get clean air. I'd be a little bit worried. You see him doing it right here. He's having to dip down just about below the yellow line every time down the back straightaway. Just a little bit early to be having to push that hard to where you're having to breathe the nose so much, but you can see it matters because that outside line was able to get a really good run entering 3, but then the inside just comes powering back with that shorter distance around 3 and 4 and allows Bill Hales to get back to the race lead before they get to the struggle. Well,
it may not be a necessity so much as it is a precaution, right? I mean, remember when we were racing at Talladega SuperSpeedway, I know you weren't present for that race, but on just the 5th lap of the race, we had a big crash because Giovanni Occhipinti blew up while running down and pushing hard on the bottom side of the racetrack. In fact, we had 2 separate crashes throughout that race that had the exact same thing, pushing too hard, and drivers blew the motor because they weren't paying attention to the water temperature. I mean, Duda is smart enough to recognize that he doesn't need to push, right? I mean, we're not even 10% of the way through this race. There's a lot of race left to go. At this point, this isn't the time to be making any sort of big move. This is just about survival, and ducking the nose into the inside or into the outside on occasion is just that little extra way on making sure you'll be there several laps later to fight for this one in the end.
Yeah, I just get nervous with him ducking out to the left, especially because he's having to duck so far. If I were him, it's obvious. I don't remember if it's oil or water that's on the left or the right side that you got to cool off. I know one's on the left and one's on the right. So he's only dipping out of the left, though, and I imagine because he's dipping out so far, it's actually the right side that he's needing to get into clean air. There's a way in these trucks to hook up onto the right rear of somebody's bumper down the back straightaway and not raise that right side temperature one bit. And I just feel like he's not too committed to that at this point. Maybe later in the race you'll see it, but I feel like you could really get to that right side of the quarter panel and not push temperature if you line it up just perfect. It's tough to do, but it is possible.
James Wartsma running the U.S. Army Chevy Silverado, currently all by his lonesome. He had to start this race he started this race from pit road, opted to make that choice. And then you see the rest of the field breathing down his neck. I think Wartsma was hoping to kind of get out of the early race melee that never ended up coming. And as a result of that, got to watch that Ford truck go 1 lap down, and they'll be the first driver knocked off of the lead lap. The rest of this 32 truck field all packed up in this giant battle pack. Here we go, 3 wide for the first time. Now, there is some leniency to the no 3 wide rule, and this is one of those instances, right? You're allowed to go 3 wide if you're lapping somebody, avoiding the wreck, what have you, so long as you get back double file as quickly as physically possible. But you can't go 3 wide trying to make an on-track position.
Yeah, I mean, you can't rule that out completely, right? You can't just say no 3 wide at all, because then everybody would have had a single file out before the lap truck got to them. So obviously a little bit of leeway in the rules there. And we're eking up on that lap 17 mark, right? We've already got 10 laps down in this thing. As we see the lap car in the fence, it kind of looked like he got shoved up there. The 51 kind of got a little high through the trial, but I think the 4 was just being a little extra careful and cautious and being a little bit nice to the lead lap cars to put himself in the fence there to make sure that he did not make any contact with the 51. But if I was lapping somebody, I would definitely give him a little bit more room there than the 51 did.
mentioned closing in on that lap 17 mark, and that, of course, will be the first time we see these trucks come down to pit road. To this day, we still have yet to see a clean pit stop cycle from these guys in the SuperSpeedway Blitz. It has not been kind trying to get down onto pit road at the plate tracks. I mean, when you have a 43 truck field, you're always going to get somebody, though.
No, I mean, you're definitely right. It's a tough thing to do, and these superspeedways are hard to get down. Talladega, not so much. I think that's a pretty easy track to get down to pit road, even with a big group. There's just so much racetrack, so much apron that you can use to get down there. And there's a lot of Daytona too, but the distance between turn 4 and the pit entry is way, way shorter. You just about got to get off the gas right as you're getting off the corner to make sure you can get down on that apron and get on the brakes really, really early. So it is a tough thing to do, and they're at half fuel, I believe, right? Maybe 55%, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
so we are going to have to have quite. Okay, we're going to have quite a few pit stops here tonight then.
Yeah, I'm thinking this will probably be about at least a 3-stop, or possibly 4. We'll see how the numbers fall as we go on throughout the course of the evening. It's pretty standard, though, for these guys who've been pitting frequently in these plate races, right? It breaks up the field, and whoa, Aaron Raymond jumping top to bottom there in the Goodwrench Services number 6 Silverado. But it's about what you'd expect to see from a plate race like this, right? Pit stops a little bit more frequently than you would see anywhere else, and Duda, you now look down. I thought for a moment he was going to go for the lead, but he opted against it, and he'll tuck that one back in line. I have noticed, though, that Allen has made his way up onto the top shelf, and he is leading the outside line, though he was, or used to be, the pusher for the 71 truck, and all of a sudden he's the pushee.
Yeah, he's doing a great job here leading that outside line, starting to get a little bit of momentum working on the outside line's favor. But again, going down to turn 3, that shorter distance, the inside line's going to pick it back up. But as long as that 71 can stay right on the back bumper of the 29 through the middle of the corner and then push them off, they'll have no problem down the front straightaway. And the 29 will easily clear the 53. But actually, the 53 is getting a really, really good push from Jim Duda down the front as well, and might be able to take the lead at the stripe.
You wonder if we're maybe going to be seeing a lot of folks potentially short pitting this first stop here, just to kind of get out of all of the traffic that's going to be coming down right about laps 16 and 17 and 18, kind of in that range. Because that's really kind of the big caveat when you get to these types of races, right? The problem is, wrap way up the track and almost into the wall, but the problem is it's never so much the getting it down on the pit road itself. Because I'm not saying it's easy, but you don't have to worry about turning so much when you're slowing down from 177 miles an hour down to, about 55 or so. The problem is that you got about 15 other trucks around you that are doing the exact same thing, and every one of them has their own unique line. So you're trying to not only hit your line, you're also trying to avoid the 15 others to make sure there are no interceptions.
Absolutely. If this was any other type of racetrack other than a super speedway, this would be the easiest pit entry on the circuit. The only thing that makes it difficult is the fact that you're coming down with 15 other guys most of the time, right? I mean, if you're single file and you're coming down by yourself, then, I mean, you're going to have absolutely no problem, honestly. But with 15 other guys, you're worrying about yourself, making sure you get down to pit road speed, and then as soon as you know that you're getting down to pit road speed, you're looking in that mirror to make sure you don't get absolutely clobbered. And it is so frustrating to have that happen to you because you just think that you've got everything in front of you, you've done everything right yourself, and then you get to the pit road line and all of a sudden your back bumper is flying off into the infield. It is the most frustrating thing on the surface. But hopefully, now, it's a very big hopeful since you just said that they have not had a clean cycle the entire time. Very hopeful that everybody can get through this first pit stop all clean and green and no rear bumpers laying in the infield.
We're up to lap 16, so the pit window is effectively open now. Now it's just a matter of when will these drivers make their way down and into the lane. It's been a relatively clean start, though, all things considered, to this race. We've been making good time so far as we are still working that 16th lap to the back straightaway. Lap 17, this time by at the line. That is when we'll be allowed to go 3-wide racing. So we could see everything try to kick off here the next time they cross our finish. How about that? The 03 of Rick Schneider jumping top to bottom for the first time all night long.
Yeah, a couple different leaders here tonight. We've only had 2. Now looking to add a third one to the list with Schneider on the outside. Trying to get back to the lead. Sorry, not adding 3. He's just trying to get the lead back to, to add to his lap count. I think he's led a couple himself, but was not quite able to lead it at the stripe that time by. Still, we've got the 3-wide capability now, so I do think that we're going to get a little bit more racy up towards the front of the field. we're going to start seeing some little bit more dangerous moves. They might hold off until the end of the first pit stop cycle, but I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody make a move up towards the front, trying to clear everybody to get to the race lead.
Tell you what, every time I see a truck go up to the outside wall like that, like Mike Allen did, I always hold my breath because it's usually followed up by somebody being hooked in the left rear right back down into the middle of the pack. And when you're at the front of the field like this, it's a recipe for absolute disaster. We'll work out to turn number 4, and it takes us this time by the entire inside row, just about a, whoa, hello, there we go, there goes one around. Will that be a yellow flag as Schneider hard into the inside wall? He'll collect RJ Buchanan, but we will not have a wreck. But how about that? The 07 of Dylan Simmons bombing it from the top lane down in the pit road, and he somehow made it work.
Great time for my Discord to crash, but I did see what happened entering the pit road. Super unfortunate there. Multiple drivers getting involved in some incidents, and unfortunately, you were right. The streak continued. We're going to have to get some replays on that, but honestly, we're probably going to see another incident this time by if we got a bunch of more cars coming.
We'll wait to see what happened here, what happens with the rest of the pit stops, and then we'll look not just at Rick Schneider spinning out as he slammed into the inside wall coming to pit row, but also at Dylan Simmons' absolutely monster move down the inside. And here comes a good chunk of the rest of the pack. I still believe, a 71. I think that might be a speed penalty for sure on Mike Campbell. But that is everybody save for the top 9 now that is down into the pit road. So we got one more group left. And I tell you what, usually right about now is when the first caution flag would fly. I thought that other incident would be caution flag number 1. We were making good time, though. And right now, I think we'll get through this first pit stop window without a yellow flag.
Yeah, with the apron being so big, even if somebody's super sideways, you know, for whatever reason, they don't count the apron on the on the game as caution worthy even under green flag pit stops. So unfortunate for the guys caught up in that accident, but hey, it just thins the field a little bit more for all these guys. It'll be really interesting to see just kind of how everybody cycles out as it looks like our final group is coming down, but man, they're coming pretty fast going down in the pit lane. That's quick.
Did he slow that down? Did Hanneman slow that down?
I'm going back and looking.
He may have just got in there. It's one of, Ryan McRoberts has missed his pit stall, so he's going to have to back up. That's going to be a lot of time lost for the number 23. It's one of our dynamic cameras, which kind of give it a bit more. I think I kind of emphasized the speed a little bit more than we were intending on, but that's a tough break there for Ryan McRoberts. Brendan Gregg was out of pit row. Bill Hales at the moment, I believe, should be the net race leader this time by. We'll get a look as he's going to work his way around the front straightaway. Currently, Hales running in 10th. As the field cycles around, we'll see where they'll file out of the, in relation to Brendan Gregg and Thomas Cook.
Brent's at 85. He actually got it slowed down in time. He didn't have a speeding penalty for that. Pit road speed 60. He got it down to 63 right before he hit it.
There's the rest of the field working his way out of pit road, and I don't think Hale's actually going to get there. Looking like Thomas Coonan, along with Brendan Gregg and Zane Bailey, the group, the trio up there in the front, they'll end up being the leading group now. Hale's not up to, well, he's up to speed, but he's over a second back from the leaders.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to have near enough, especially with them on the outside line now, passing the stragglers on the inside. They're just not really going to have the run necessary, but people up towards the front of the pack are actually kind of peeking out to the outside line. Now he's got the draft. Oh, man, we saw the 0-3. Honestly, I'd say he just didn't leave enough room. He did get help, but I don't think he left enough room. He's got plenty of room to the yellow line. Well, he's missing the truck to his outside. I get it. The truck on the outside slowed down a little bit too much. He's reacting, but unfortunately, he did cut across the nose of the driver behind him there, sending himself into the inside wall. Oh, man, big bump on the outside lane from the 21 to the 53. We're starting to see that 3-wide race, and now the 21 stuck on the outside. Zane Bailey, no help there on the outside line, and they are racing hard. Oh, someone on the apron entering turn number 3, able to save it back up on the racetrack. That's the 38, way back towards the mid-pack. A couple stragglers way further off, back off the pack, have lost the draft through the pit stop cycle, but they are racing hard up in the front with the draft. 3 wide for about 5th place as we're side by side for the race lead.
Thomas Kuhn and Bill Hales, they'll be the two duking it out for the top spot. We'll take another replay. This is Dylan Simmons. Watch this pit entry here. Top lane, fires it right across the nose of one of the Team IEL drivers, and he made up a few spots on his way down into pit road, and he held on to the lead lap, all things considered. So I think that is well held there from Dylan Simmons' Chick-fil-A machine. That could have easily been a disaster. And we're going to get one more look at that one from the air, and I want you to really pay attention on how close this was entering pit road because he nearly got cleaned out by Paul Witt.
It is so dangerous to enter pit road from the third groove, but somehow he pulls all the way down in front of another truck's nose, slams on the binders, hard getting down into pit road and able to get that thing slowed up as they wreck behind him. Great effort to get down to pit road from the third lane. I mean, that's pretty freaking impressive.
It's a bit of a shame there for RJ Buchanan. Kind of got involved with that one. He had nowhere to go to avoid. But that does close out our first pit stop run here of the afternoon. Expecting the second one to be at about lap 35, give or take. So we'll see how this is going to handle. We had everybody come down to the lane and looking like first on back to about 20 seconds. Still caught up in the battle pack. From there, Mike Allen brings it up at 23rd. He's in a three-truck battle at the moment with himself, John Bowalta Jr. and Brett Rucker. Roy Huff, Kyle Howard both running by their lonesome, and Timothy Lee about to go a lap down as well. And then, of course, you have the drivers that had either penalties or crash coming into pit road. So considering the chaotic nature of coming down to pit road, I'll give it to the field. I'll take about a 1/3 ratio on that one.
Yeah, it was not too bad whatsoever. And another thing, since that pit stop cycle started about lap 18, in and around lap 20-21, I think that basically confirms we're on a four-stop. Oh, man, they're making in the back. The four truck hard into the outside wall. Another car collected. He's sideways, stuck it up against the fence, but the caution has not come out yet. They're just about going to come to a stop on the back straightaway, though. The caution's going to have to come out with these guys coming through, and it is going to come out. Lucky for them that that group was coming through on the back straightaway a couple seconds behind, or else that caution was not going to fly.
I believe that will give the lucky dog to Rick Schneider. Kyle Howard was literally just in front of the field. There's Kyle Howard. There's race leader Aaron Raymond right behind him. So Kyle Howard really lucky now with this yellow flag. That'll keep him on the lead lap.
And we had just crossed the quarter mark of the race. Really good, clean racing so far. And the only incident we've seen, other than on the pit stops, was just a little two-car accident. Heck, even the pit stop cycle was just a 2-3 car incident. So just a couple little tiny skirmishes here, but we're going to watch the Ford come off the corner. Is that the lap truck that was on his outside that he turned himself across?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the lap truck, so he's not going to get the he just got lapped, so I figured he was going to get the free pass, but he kind of just cleared himself across the nose of the of Timothy Lee there on the outside, unfortunately. But I mean, the truck was there, can't do anything about it. You know, you can't clear yourself up across somebody's nose like that, even if it's a lap truck. So hate that happens for the four, but at the end of the day, it's kind of self-inflicted.
Take a ride on board with Timothy Lee and his number 70 truck. I mean, I don't see anything that Lee did wrong. They just kind of get hooked together here. Not a whole lot they can do about that one as Wurtzma slides to a stop against the outside fence.
Honestly, good job from Timothy Lee not pulling that thing back across the left, knowing the caution's not out. You got to keep that thing up on the top of the racetrack. People flying by like that, but heck, the Ford looked like he got loose. Yeah. That's the second time we've seen somebody get loose coming off the corners here tonight. Really strange.
Let's get a look on board with Wurtzma on that, because I'm not 100% positive that that's not the result of a loose moment. We'll get to that in a moment as we got the rest of the field into pit road. Michael Gudger and Bill Hales among them. I believe Hales was the first one in, so we'll see if he'll be the first one off.
Oh! Contact on pit road. Chick-fil-A machine and the 28 both getting together.
I'll get a look
Only
at
a little
that
bit of bumper contact, but that was a little sketchy coming down. I think one guy was coming out of the pit, coming out of his pit stall, and one was coming in. They just made a little bit of bumper contact, but it shouldn't hurt either of those trucks too bad. And I do know that they have fast repair, but I would not want to waste my fast repair on a pit road collision. That is for sure.
Right on board with James Wurtzma here. We'll see what the driver of the four saw in this wreck. Yeah, that truck, it wasn't really like kind of like out there loose, but you could tell it was getting there. Yeah. It was getting to that point.
There was a little twitch just at the perfectly wrong time for him coming off that corner with a truck on the outside. I mean, honestly, it just couldn't be any worse timing, right? If that lap truck was just a little bit further ahead of him by just a second, he's fine. Or if he's just past him, just really terrible timing there to have the truck on the outside as soon as you get that loose moment. He had been double file, the only car on the outside for lap after lap, and then as soon as he gets somebody else outside, just that little loose condition is all it takes. Super unfortunate, but he should be fine. Again, those fast repairs coming in handy. He was a lap down at that point. Now we've got a couple guys lap down, so he'll need another caution as we watch the replay of the 28. coming down to his pit stall. Oh, they were both coming in, and
Yeah.
just got a little bump and run coming down to his box.
Well held, though. Didn't miss his pit stall, so I think it probably lost a tenth or two out of that. Otherwise, smooth sailing, not a lot of damage. I'll give Rincon a thumbs up on that save. It's a pretty tame first wreck for Daytona by iRacing standards, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, both instances we've had have collected a combined 5 cars, and none of it is anywhere close to terminal damage. Actually, I do think someone blew an engine on that on the pit stop cycle, but luckily they were close enough to tow, take the fast repair to only lose a couple laps. So still not enough to take somebody out of the race completely on any of our first 2 wrecks. So we're 27 laps into the event, so really good showing here from these guys so far. And I think the racing's been really good. Up front, we've seen 2 wide just about the entire time. And obviously, once we get towards the halfway point, towards the end of this thing, we're going to start seeing that 3 wide machine happening over and over and over again. People are not going to be settling for, 5th, 10th place. They're going to be wanting to get up to the front.
Coming on up on Green Flag TV in the next week or so. Over the next 3 days, you'll have the High Tide Racing League Amateur Racing Designs Cup Series making their return to the Green Flag TV at the Michigan International Speedway on January the 8th. Austin Edstrom will be alongside me in the booth for that one as well. And then, of course, the OMS World Truck Series, they kick their season back off at Daytona on Tuesday night at 8:45 Eastern Time. And then, well, Austin, you're back in the booth for the Beer League opener. You missed a banger of a race at Brands Hatch, and I honestly wish you had been there because it was absolutely phenomenal, and I can't wait to see what they're going to be like. We're going to find out where they're racing at tomorrow. Speaking of Saturdays and Sundays, you're making your money's worth this week because you're going to be back into the booth then on Saturday morning when the VSCA Sports Car Championship kicks off their race for the qualifying race of the Daytona 24, the Roar before the 24.
Yeah, you're pretty lucky on that one. There's not much that'll get me up at 8 in the morning other than work. So you're pretty lucky. I'm offering up my morning services back-to-back weekends in a row for the Daytona 24 stuff. So, but no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna have a great time. Never called a Daytona 24. I've ran a couple myself. Never finished, unfortunately. But I'm looking forward to see who can. Coming up in 2 weeks' time for that Daytona 24, but like you said before that, next weekend, that Roar before the 24. Cannot wait to get those things kicked off because, hey, that just means we're one step closer to NASCAR season, baby.
Pace cars down into the pit road. Bill Hales choosing the outside lane for the restart. Green flags back in the air, and we are underway. Aaron Raymond making a quick charge to the front. Jim Duda picks up the number 2 spot from the bottom side, and looking like Thomas Coonan will look to file through for 3rd as well.
Yeah, minor shuffling of the running order over the course of a couple pit stops. Our normal race leader, Bill Hales, though, was able to start on the front row, took the outside line, and it is just not working out here in the early going on the restart. He's going to get a good push from the 52 here down the back straightaway, but that was definitely not the start he was looking for as they are finally starting to get some momentum down the back. Now side by side for second with Jim Duda. The 53 is trying to come back for that race lead.
Up to speed by the time you hit turns 3 and 4. Hales with the push from Dale Rapp up on the top side. Aaron Raymond running down to the low end, down through turns 3 and 4. Jim Duda still in perfect line as well. Hales leads the first lap back to green. He may have lost momentum from the top side early on, but hey, you just need that big push from the second place runner up on the outside, and you're smooth sailing as well.
That's true, but it just takes one guy in front of you on the bottom line to move up and take your position away. So it's a little sketchy. Later in the race, I would maybe just want the bottom lane so you could be the guy to pull up in front down the back straightaway. But here in the early going, maybe you're thinking nobody's going to throw that crazy block. And hey, it all worked out for Bill Hales. Just a lap and a half after the restart. Now he's completely clear of the bottom lane. Oh man, his help is trying to get to the bottom. They're 3 wide going down into turn number 3 just about. The 21 of Zane Bailey did a good job of just kind of letting off, making that a little bit less of an issue as possible. Letting the 52 back in line. He was trying to cut down to the bottom lane with the 53 of Bill Hales, but that room was just not there. Good job from Dale Rapp. Good job from Zane Bailey, just holding on to that thing, letting him back in line, and they're charging on that outside line once again. The 52 trying to take the race lead away from Bill Hales.
Big push from Zane Bailey down to turn 1, looking like Rapp may very well be able to pull clear, and we'll get the look back on that bit of an intense run coming down in towards turn numbers 3 and 4. It nearly came to blows, and this is how it almost fell apart. Watch as Hales clears low, and then Dale Rapp tried to follow suit. Raymond, though, wasn't having it, and Oh, not enough room, and not quite 3 wide, but they came pretty close to it. And it's a good heads-up driving there on Dale Rapp to kind of back out of that initial wreck, as now he leads the way for the top side. Kyle Howard scrapes the outside wall. Whoa, and we got one onto the apron.
Oh, I thought Zane Bailey was going around out of 4. He did a great job holding on to that thing, and then it kind of created a little bit of mayhem behind him there through the tri-oval. Someone else having to go down the apron. Everybody doing a really good job taking care of each other, I got to say, though. Of course, I'm going to jinx that with that, but so far, everybody's done a great job. Somebody makes a little mistake, gets a little swirly. Guy behind him's not pushing the issue too much. Now we get to lap 60, lap 75. That might be a little bit different as we see our 2 race leaders on the bottom pull up to the top lane. Or not our 2 race leaders, but some are about for 4th place, my mistake. But our front 3 on the bottom have kind of pulled away and kind of made their own little tiny pack, but I think the 21's going to kind of bridge that gap and allow everybody else to kind of close it back in as well.
And Zane Bailey making some pretty good progress at the moment as he's going to shoot to the bottom side, and that's going to allow for Duda to get the run back from the top with that draft. And now he's being pushed by Paul Witt. Paul Witt has been a driver that has surprised me this season. He has never he was never a driver back in season 4 to be too near the front. Constantly running in the top 10, but never quite with the pace to make paces for the lead. He has started on the pole though, a good number of times in the series, and now he's been proving he's got some top 5 pace at some of the bigger tracks like this one.
You know, super speedways are weird with the qualifying. There's some things that some people just figure out, and that makes them way, way better at super speedway qualifying than everybody else. And it's so weird because you're just holding the throttle 100%. You're just holding the wheel as steady as you can get it and wrapping the bottom line. But there's some people that just know how to do it better. I don't know the trick. I've tried to figure out the trick. I have no idea. But if he's qualifying on pole time and time again, I mean, if it's a track like this, it really should just be a crapshoot, right? It should be random in a sense if everybody's just holding the throttle down all the way. But if you've got it figured out, you got it figured out compared to all these guys on the super speedways. It's just so weird that there can be something so minor that can give you that time, but it ends up being such a big difference every single super speedway qualifying.
The draft in general is weird, especially with how it kind of like ebbs and flows a lot in racing like this, right? And how the fields can kind of separate and then come back together like accordions. And I saw a very interesting question posed, and I'm not sure if this was in the iRace, like on a YouTube video or on Reddit. It was a screenshot from somewhere. And the question posed was, if you get all of the cars or trucks spaced out just far enough, could you create an endless train of draft where one truck is able to keep the pace up and keep a lot of speed up from the draft in front, but they're not able to make it up there because the truck in front of them is getting the draft for the truck in front of them, and so on and so forth, to the point where there's about, like, we're talking maybe like a 0.4 of a second gap between every single truck in the field. It's a good question, and that'd be a heck of an experiment to test out at some point in the future, but it'd be slim to none, I'd imagine.
Yeah, the racing is kind of calming down right now. I'm kind of surprised. I thought we would start kind of ratcheting up the intensity a little bit, but everybody up front is just kind of minding their P's and Q's so far. Sorry to change subject, but I'm just very surprised to see such, I don't know, normality throughout the field. We've seen a couple little moments, but everybody's kind of calmed down and just running this 2x2 train. It looks like everybody's really content just to get to the end of this thing.
Well, again, a long race, not even halfway in, so survival, I think, is still on everybody's minds. Now, expecting for pit stops, I'm thinking just shy of halfway. I don't think we'll quite make it to halfway. Well, we might. I'm thinking lap 43, 44. Have we seen these guys back in the pit road? Yeah, they pitted 10 laps ago on lap 25. But then you run a couple of cautions under the behind the pace truck, right? And that's where you're able to kind of save a lot more. So I'm thinking, just shy of halfway, right around there, we'll be seeing the field come back down the pit road again.
Yeah, I think we saw, 3 laps of pit stops the last time around, so I'd imagine lap 44 to 46 is probably the sweet spot. If I had to bet, we're probably going to start seeing them start around that point. You know, we're getting to that point of the fuel run where you got to really start thinking about it. You know, but in about 5 laps, a lot of these guys are going to start trying to get down to that bottom line. I know we saw somebody enter from the 3rd lane earlier today. That's not safe. That's not doable time and time again. And I'm sure people will be a little bit smarter with that here going forward. But, hey, he made it work last time, so credit to him. But I don't think we're going to see much more of that here through the rest of the race.
That's what happens when you roll a nat 20 on a dexterity check.
Oh, my.
Hey, you're going to get a couple D&D references, like Baldur's Gate.
Skill points increased pitting from the third lane.
Literally. It's one of the it's one of the, like a saving throw or whatever. I'm not a big D&D buff. I don't know the specifics behind that, but I know the memes, and that's good enough for me. Dale Rapp continuing to lead the way. Bill Hales has dropped down from the lead a bit more. Jim Duda, though, looking to charge up to the top, and I think we got one truck leading pit road, and that's James Wartsma just dipping out of pit road from the bottom side as he'll fall back to the field.
Man, I thought we were about to get a
yeah, dude, we took him with him.
I thought we were about to get a Kevin LePage moment. My goodness. Is he?
He is. He's crapping pretty bad, actually. What's happened to James?
Yeah, I mean, he was in that wreck, but I would have expected him to use his fast repair.
I'm a bit puzzled on this one. We're gonna get a look, because I know James Wartsma did pit, and he was all by himself, and it was about 4 laps ago, so we completely missed this somewhere. I'm not so sure. Let's take a look. He's all by himself, and he's definitely crabbing there, but I don't see any damage on that truck. Do you?
Is the right rear broken?
I think you're right. It is, but that'd be from the wreck itself.
Well, I don't know. That looks a
Maybe
little bit
it
worse
was from the wreck, and we just never noticed.
Well, I remember him getting hit in the right rear and it getting dented in, but I would have thought he would have used his fast repair if he was crab walking that bad, right? So I imagine he's had to have had another moment since then. Unless maybe he, excuse me, maybe before the wreck, before the green flag pit stops, maybe he had touched the wall or gotten just like a second of damage with somebody, and so whenever he came down pit road, it used the fast repair without him knowing, so that he didn't have it for the wreck. Maybe that could have happened. It's either that or he got involved in another accident afterwards. Either way, it's unfortunate for Wartsma. Oh, he's down on pit road once again, so he's definitely having some troubles with that machine. I might have to go take a look back to see if I can figure out what happened to him.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on our little event recorder here that mentions even any incident of the sort, which leads me to believe that's all from the initial incident. He was in the pits this last time by for 43 seconds. It's a very long stop, so I do think that that's what the issue was. He still had damage that never got fixed.
Yeah,
I guess maybe he didn't think it was as bad as it was.
That's true. He could have maybe thought it was a little bit. I don't know. If you're that far off the pace, he was in the track at the beginning of his stint. If you're that far off the pace, I imagine you had to have had at least like a minute of damage or something, and you got to have that fixed up super speedway. So I'm honestly really, really shocked he did not get that fixed up in the pit stop. Because I look back and I haven't found anything either. I'm at 16 times the pace, just trying to figure out what happened to him, and there's nothing.
Well, luck of the draw sometimes. Still a long way to go, so maybe he'll be able to get himself back into the fight. But at this point, I mean, 4 laps down, it's wishful thinking, especially when you got 3 other trucks. It's about to be 4 that are all laps down in front of you. And speaking of other trucks about to go a lap down, talking about Mike Campbell at the moment, running the top side in his number 71. He's about to fall victim here to Dale Rapp and more. As he had another truck about to go a lap down, and he's going to be sticking that one to the high side.
I'm a little nervous about this one. The leaders have been racing really hard, coming off the corner a little wide multiple times over the last couple of laps. Now they're having to get 3 wide with a lap truck. We saw the accident happen earlier with a lap truck on the outside. I was a little worried here with the race leaders this time if it was going to happen again, but it looks like everybody's keeping it clean here in the front half of the field as we've got the 21 of Zane Bailey move to the outside line into the 3rd position on the outside group. I'm trying to make something happen on the outside, but I'm kind of surprised that you would move to the outside at this point. You know, we are getting closer to those pit stops. We're about 3 laps away from the window that I would believe. Oh, now 2 people are moving down to the bottom. We might be a little bit closer than I thought as people are starting to migrate down to the bottom lane.
Well, no one pitting in this time by, so maybe just some preparations going on. We're about 4 laps shy of halfway. Dale Rapp continuing to lead the way. A bit crossed up, and Phil Hales exiting the trioval as they'll get that back sorted. He'll still run second. Duda looking for second on the top side.
I love super speedway racing. Nothing gets me more giddy than seeing somebody get a little squirrely coming off these corners because of a bad bump and they save it. It's just mesmerizing to watch sometimes getting these back ends, stepping out just from a bad push and seeing them work the wheel, man, especially if you're using iRacing's cameras to kind of get that rear chase on somebody, and you can just see them working the wheel, see the gloves moving back and forth, see that little red piece of tape in the middle of the steering wheel flickering back to the left, to the right, to the left. just super mesmerizing watching these guys save the truck whenever it gets squirrely. As we see one driver come down pit road, that's not what you want to see, and probably too fast. I mean, that was a pretty late entry. You don't want to be coming down pit road by yourself, though, here at Daytona.
That's right, McRoberts, a driver that was already a couple laps down, so I think he's on a different pit strategy, but still not necessarily ideal. To your point, I agree, it's mesmerizing. It really gets that adrenaline going when you see a truck break loose, and I will say, the wrecks are spectacular. Until you realize you then have to call another half of a race with about a half of the size of a field left.
Which is why I'm thrilled that we've kept it clean this far. I mean, we've had good racing side by side, and nothing crazy. Oh man, something crazy in 3 and 4.
Well,
the
there
5
we
gets
go.
turned hard into the outside wall, head first. Multiple drivers involved in the middle of 3 and 4. Unbelievable commentator curses. They're still wrecking through turn 4.
You had to say it.
I did have to
You
say it.
had to say it.
As soon as I said nothing crazy has happened, bam, somebody goes head on to the wall. I mean, the moment. It wasn't even.
Who was that when head on into the wall?
It was the 5 of John Bawalda. I mean, goodness gracious. I couldn't tell if someone on the outside had gotten turned down into him, but he got right rear heavy from the bottom lane in 3 and 4 and went hard into the outside wall and collected a couple other drivers. That's the lap truck there of the 71 above him. Mike Campbell, I believe he was our outside pole sitter. A little bit of unluck now to the 99 to the outside in 3 and 4. We see on the slow motion camera coming through the corner. It's going to be the 99 here on the outside.
Yeah.
Just coming down. Oh, he's going for that
Misjudged it.
gap. He's going for that gap, trying to get there so he can come to pit road, and completely misjudged it. And unfortunately, the 5 got the worst of it, but the 77 also got a good bit, and the 71 as well. A couple really good trucks taken out in that one that have been towards the front of the field most of the night, and then just still more contact later. The 052 coming in really, really late. Oh, our championship leader just barely squeaking through there at low speed.
It's unfortunate in particular for Mike Campbell. He was the lucky dog driver prior to this. You take one more look at this one at speed, and yeah, he's just trying to fit into the gap and just misjudged that. That's just bad timing, I'm afraid. And then Mike Campbell took a hit into the wall, and then Brad Slagle was going to get a bit of a whack here as well. And good job on Gudger. He kind of tiptoed his way through down to the inside line. Looking like Brett Rucker may have had a small piece of that one as well, though he looking like he may have escaped the worst of it in that one. Right on board with the 69 truck. We'll see what happened to him.
Way, way, way behind the wreck. Seeing him scattering through the middle of the corner right here. Gets it woed down really well so far at this point, but obviously somebody behind him didn't. There's no way that this is his fault, right? Oh,
It is his fault. He locked it up.
Oh,
He locked up.
Well, hey, I'll take. That's fine. That's fine. I will not rag on him for that. You know what? I'll take a little solo spin, just getting on the brakes a little bit too hard. That's totally different than someone ARCA breaking it, coming in late and killing them. So that is what it is. It's a little funny, but hey, he kept his truck safe.
Kept his truck safe indeed. We are under caution flag number 2, just exactly at halfway. We're going to take a step back. You're watching the TNGG IEL SuperSpeedway Blitz in the season finale on Green Flag TV. Welcome back to the World Center of Racing. Lights are out aboard the iRacing pace truck. We'll go green this time by. Coming to the close of our second caution, and I have to say, this has been the least caution-filled race we've had all season. Right now, we're about on par with the regular series season race, which that's not a bad thing. That's a great thing. This is a good representation right now of the kind of racing we're going to be seeing when we get down to Daytona come February.
Hey, if you need me for that, I might be open on Saturday nights.
I'm not sure what DJ.
This racing,
I think DJ will be in the booth for the opener, but we'll see. I know DJ.
I might do it out of the kindness of my heart for no money because this has been some really good racing.
I'll take a 3-man booth.
Actually, the first week depends on when it starts. I'll be down in Daytona for the 500. So.
Oh, very nice. Well, it's on the 24th, so.
Okay, that might work. While we'll be in Atlanta for the second race.
Oh well, there you go.
At some point, I might come back in the booth because this racing has been amazing. I've enjoyed every second of it. Really clean, and the couple incidents, even that last one, that could have been massive. That could have been a massive incident.
It was,
and it was in terms of impact. But there were significantly less drivers involved than I would have thought if I see a car go head onto the outside wall from about 10th place.
A pace truck will pull down in the pit row this time by Barney the Flag Man with green flag in hand, holding it high above the head. As we're going to get back to green flag racing, the green lights flick on.
Ever since that first caution, I feel like Aaron Raymond and Zane Bailey have kind of been staples up front. Zane maybe more around like that 5th place spot or so, but he's found himself up onto the front row, and finally, that outside line gets a really, really good start. Before they even get to the back stretch, he's got the inside line clear. I can't imagine that inside line doing anything down the back straightaway. They're going to have to wait until turn 3 before they get any kind of momentum worked up.
Saw a little bit of contact there between Paul Witt, and I believe that was Rincon on the inside. Zane Bailey will jump to the bottom. He'll clear from Aaron Raymond, and that will allow Duda to clear for the lead. You've had about 3 different leaders now in the span of half a lap. Could be 4 by the end of the lap. Dale Rapp gets his way out of turn 4.
Yeah, Rapp is looking for a push from that 4.29 of Paul Witt. Not quite able to get it coming off of turn 4, the inside line, just with enough momentum coming off the corner to allow Jim Duda to lead the lap here. He's been up front just about the entire time. Whoa, 3 wide now for the race lead. The 21 dips out to the outside line. The 52 was not happy about that. He tries to go to the outside, but now with no help, he's stuck to the outside all by himself, almost out to the fence. And that middle line is struggling now. They've lost a member, and they're side drafting each other back towards the back of the pack. They're struggling on the outside as the 53 is just able to take the lead. But now the 21 with a good push from Witt, trying to get back up side by side with our race leader. They're going to be that way going down into turn 3.
Well, that's the hazards of making the move a bit early like this. While we may be in the second half of the race now, it's still a long way to the end. I thought it was a little bit early to be trying that, but hey, look at the side draft. Rapp's still getting a good drive, and he's actually hanging that outside lane. He's kind of stopped the bleeding all by himself. The problem is when he hits the straights, he can maintain pace at the corners. He's just got to find a hole now to get to the bottom. Oh, well, there he goes. He's going to turn the car to the outside wall, and caution flag number 3, and again, a great job on the field to avoid disaster as Zane Bailey, I believe, took the lead that time by.
Again, a wreck that every time I see these cars go hard to the outside wall with someone hitting nose first, I feel like we're going to get a pretty big accident. And then it just turns out to be a couple cars, man. And this is a 33-car field. You do not get tiny incidents in a 33-car field with SuperSpeedway very often. We're getting them literally every single time tonight. So great job from everybody that's behind these wrecks to avoid them so far. And I know I've already had one commentator curse tonight, so I'm probably going to be jinxing that for the last 40 laps here tonight. But really good job so far. And I got to point out Maxwell Kroll in the YouTube chat. Shout out to him for mentioning that Brett Rucker, the 69 truck, the one that we saw on the last caution, got on the brakes just a little bit too hard at really low speed and spinning that thing out. We kind of gave him some props in the fact that, hey, he kept his truck clean. It was just a little funny looking. But Max letting us know that Brett is racing through an injury tonight kind of puts that in a little bit more perspective as well. Really good job from him keeping out of it on the last wreck, and I believe he did a good job here again. Maybe a little bit of damage from some other trucks here, just kind of stacking up. Yeah, we see the back bumper fly off the 71 and then teleport back on. Again, our championship leader almost getting rear-ended right there, so really good job from everybody getting through there with just a little bit of bumper grinding between a couple guys.
Riding on board with Dale Rapp. I'm not convinced Rapp actually came down into him. He may have been pushed up on. Let's get a look at this one here, though, this time by. What do you make of that one?
Honestly, I think it's a little bit of both. I don't think it's as egregious from the bottom car as what we saw with the 4 coming off of turn 2 earlier. I think this is going to be a much better view. It's a little bit hard from the in-car cockpit, but I do think that the car on the outside was just side drafted a little bit too hard through the tri-oval with no help.
I mean,
He comes below this white line here.
Mike Allen was kind of wiggling around a little bit, and when you're unpredictable like that, it doesn't help these types of situations.
I don't know. That's one that I kind of give 50-50. But also, whenever you are on the quarter panel of somebody and you are side drafting, I believe more of the responsibility to prevent a wreck is on you. And so I kind of put that more on the outside truck just because I feel like he came down a little bit and tried to side draft. Whenever, if you don't have any help, you're going backwards whether you side draft or not. So maybe just a little bit too early for the side drafting. But again, I think those guys have fast repair, so they'll be fine coming forward. We still got just a little bit under half of this race left to go.
Multiple drivers in at pit road in the drag race between Jim Duda and Zane Bailey out of pit road, won by the 21 in that deal as good host of trucks. It's a very sparse field actually coming into pit road because of when that caution came out. There was a big spread when they were coming off of turn 4 still. Not everybody had caught up, which is why it's such a big excuse me. I just drank water. I do apologize for that. A big disparity though working out of pit road. So Zane Bailey will have the race lead. Now, since we're under caution, right? We have time. I want to see if we can't talk to one of the drivers that I want to say, has really impressed me so far this afternoon. Rick Schneider. You remember how he took that hard hit into the inside wall? He lost a couple laps. He's back onto the lead lap. Now, he is getting damage repaired, so did he get involved in this at all?
I did not see whenever
it's a lot of damage.
Whenever it went through, unless it was something completely unrelated.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, because that's a lot of damage for him to be having just by himself. Let's ride on board with him and see what he saw throughout all this. So he may have been the one that actually hit the 71, because he's fine here. There's no damage.
No, there's a lot of damage. He's already got it.
Really?
Oh yeah, that right front is bent up. Like the left one too.
Well, he avoided the main wreck there, and no, you're right. Damage is very much there, so he may just be getting a bit more of that fixed up. He's got time, and he's going to make his way out of pit road, so it's not hindering him all that bad, but there is very much a chance that he could get himself sorted. And, well, we just missed our chance to give him a bit of a chat as the lights just went up with the iRacing pace truck, but we'll keep him in mind to bring him up here later on in the race, but I mean, he's impressed, right? I mean, I think most drivers, after they slam that hard into the inside wall on a green flag pit stop cycle and there's no caution, most drivers would call it quits. I would call it quits, but he didn't. He went for it, and now as a result of that, he's back onto the lead lap, so huge props to him for that.
Yeah, as long as he's not down in the engine power, he might be able to stay in this thing a little bit. Oh, well, we did just get added a lap until green, so maybe you could pull him up.
I think they're waiting on a good chunk of the field. Well, there's some disagreements, it looks like, about the running order, because I'm seeing a lot of drivers kind of filtering through the 71, moving back, the 13 moving back, and then, well, that might have a hand to play with it as well. Dale Rapp. Where's Dale Rapp going? What happened to Rapp? We'll find out what happened to Rapp, because I don't know about that one, Chief.
Yeah, I'm a little lost at what's going on, to be honest. I'm having a hard time following.
And he scrapes the outside wall. I think he had a tech problem and maybe had a screen freeze. That's the one thing that I think could explain why he hit the outside wall like that, was if he couldn't see. That's not a mistake you make if you can see and you're slowing.
Yeah. I don't know, that's a weird one. But we got a whole nother lap to talk, so now that we're past halfway, probably have, let's see, there's going to be about 35 laps to go. Oof, I feel like we're at one pit stop. These guys are probably saving pretty hard, especially with this extra lap. I imagine we're one pit stop to the finish, just about. Who are your favorites? I feel like there's a couple guys that have just kind of stuck out and been up front the whole night that are probably going to stay up front the entire time and maybe win this thing.
I think Aaron
Speaking-
Raymond.
Yeah, I was about to say, speaking particularly of Aaron Raymond and the
Zane
21 of Zane
Jim
Bailey.
Duda, Paul Witt, those are all big contenders for the win.
Duda's been good all night. I feel like he's been a really good pusher.
He's been good all season.
Unfortunately, I don't have all season to go off of.
Fair enough.
And the only race that I've called with these guys was Las Vegas for a Super Speedway league, which, to be fair, in the trucks
Who's at the
race is
front
somewhat
there?
like a Super Speedway, but it is still different. So it's hard for me to make a good educated guess other than the 50 laps I've seen tonight. But the 50 laps I've seen tonight, I mean, Zane Bailey has looked really good. Aaron Raymond, really, really good. Jim Duda, also way up there. All Witt is kind of, I'm kind of keeping my eye on him. He hasn't shown me a ton, but he kind of looks like he's a pretty competitive. There are a couple guys that I feel like have kind of gotten a little maybe unlucky towards the middle of this. Slagle has never really found his way up towards the front, and our championship leader has not really been up here either. So I'm kind of surprised to see a couple of these really quick guys be shuffled towards the back of the pack or stuck in the middle most of the night.
John Holiday giving his welcomes from Arizona, not able to join us here tonight. Not sure why he's not able to join us tonight. You're missing out, John. It's been a great race so far. Hopefully we'll see you on the racetrack when we get back to Daytona in about a month and a half or so. But yeah, it'll be a fun month of racing coming on up before then. So we'll have lots to keep us entertained during the off season. But it's definitely not a series that I can wait for to return.
Yeah, this is the only race I've done that's on an actual super speedway. I'm a little upset I haven't done the whole year. I mean, this has been an absolute banger so far, and I think we're about to, you know, kind of drop the gloves. I think everybody's been minding their P's and Q's a little bit, being a little nice to everybody. We still got at least one more pit stop, so maybe they'll hold off until then. But I think track position is going to become more and more of a key going forward here, and I think we're going to see a lot more aggressiveness.
Pace truck will pull down and in this time by putting it in the hands of Roy Huff, who will lead us down to the green flag. Huff not coming down to pit road into this latest caution flag. He's now 6 laps off cycle. Green flag's back in the air.
Zane Bailey and Raymond in that outside line. Unfortunately, they're held. So the two cars right behind them have both dipped down to the bottom line, and now they have absolutely no help. They're hooked up really well on the outside line. If Raymond can give a good enough push to the 21, maybe he gets him clear, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. That inside line is hooked up really, really well with 6 trucks, nose to tail. Got to think those guys on the outside are going to be sitting ducks, but Raymond is giving the 21 a hell of a shove, and now multiple drivers ducking out of that inside line, making the outside line a little bit stronger. I think that the 6 and 21 are going to get the help that they need.
Paul Witt looking to make his drive to the point of the 429, but so far, Huff will secure his run from the bottom. Now, honestly, if I'm Jim Duda, I'm not so concerned about overtaking. Okay, well, he's going to get up into the outside wall, hooked by Zane Bailey. And how that was not the huge one is beyond me.
I said the gloves are coming off. The gloves are off. I mean, that was so tight coming off the corner. That was not clear. I don't know if his spotter told him he was clear or not. If he did, we got to get a new computer program because that was terrible. He was not even close. Able to save that thing, though. Great job from Duda, and he still got the push to get the lead. Unfortunately, the run ended up dying, and now Zane Bailey took it from him. Oh, but they're 3 wide down the middle of the back straightaway. Duda takes Bailey 3 wide, but those 2 lines are now dipping. Oh, and they're sideways down the back straightaway. The 86 fishtailing, and now multiple drivers involved in the back of the pack, going around, just about turning over. That's our championship leader in the LSU truck, going around, multiple drivers going down into turn 3, spinning out, involved in our 4th caution of the evening.
Well, all we got to do is, I guess, go on board and look at a close moment, and then that'll cause the big one, apparently. Caution flag number 4, and starting to rack them up as we'll get a look back on what happened on a big wreck down the backstretch here at Daytona as, well, kind of already in progress there. The 86 fishtailing around kind of rebounded and kicked Simmons around, slammed him into the outside wall, and then the whole pack just fell apart, and holy cow, the Juicy Fruit machine just barely scraping through that as Gudge got up on 2 wheels.
I got to be honest, the 86 did a heck of a job. That should have been way, 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 way worse for him. And honestly, the wreck probably would not have happened if I believe it was the 07 that had kind of turned him down to the inside. If he'd given him a little bit more room, I think, to cover that thing, he would have been all right. And I think he had a lane to give on the middle of the racetrack a little bit further up. But I think that he just held the bottom line and got tail whipped. But I don't think the 86 really had any damage. Yeah, if the 07 or 07 would have just given him a little bit more room, I think that whole thing gets avoided. Oh, the 86 does get a little bit of damage on the right side, but still way better of a job than he really should have done. That 86 should have been completely killed getting turned like that in the middle of the back straightaway.
We're going to get 2 onboard looks here with Jordan Vicknair. First one will be on the front, and then the second will be on the back throughout the entirety of this wreck. Watch first off the front on how close this was on the front of the truck to getting involved in this. And then we'll jump back to Jordan Vicknair. Now look at how close this was on the back for getting into this wreck.
Oh my! Great job from the 69 again. He's gotten through these wrecks great every single time as well. I mean, that's one thing about super speedways. Even if you get the big wrecks, somebody is bound to get through there clean in a phenomenal way. It happens every time, and you just love being able to pick out the guy. It's a little bit of luck, but it's also a little bit of skill. You gotta play that brake pedal just right and get back on the gas right whenever you need to. So great job there from him getting through that. And again, the 69 of Rucker, he did a great job as well.
And then we'll get another look. This will be onboard Zane Bailey, who is now in the lead of the race. Now this is what nearly caused the yellow flag. Coming out of turn number 4. Watch Roy Huff on the inside. Duda is going to come into view. He tried to go for the lead and then drifted up the track and not clear.
Oh my.
And just barely keeps it off of the outside wall.
That was even more overlap than I thought there was between the 2 trucks. I cannot believe that did not turn him head onto the wall. I mean, that would have been about the 3rd or 4th time that we saw the exact same accident happen. Somebody turning themselves over somebody else's nose. But hey, he did just enough to keep it out of the wall and got the run to get the lead. Just kind of crazy how many runs started from that, because he took the lead, and then Bailey took the lead, and then Aaron Raymond took the lead, all within half a lap of each other because of that one move.
Well held, I think is the term we're looking for. I think we'll have 32 laps to go when we get back to green flag race in action here in this one. One more truck making that little dive down and into the lane. And lights out. All right, we'll go green this next time by. And Bailey picking the inside this time.
I'm telling you, I'm loving this racing so far. This is making me wanting to, as soon as this thing is over, kick up my sim and get back on the racetrack. It's been a couple of weeks. I mean, my goodness, this has been a banger of a race so far. Loving what I'm seeing here. A couple of the guys up front, you know, we just mentioned under the last caution, Bailey and Raymond just seemed to be up front the entire night and have a knack for being up here and not losing that track position. And I feel like that's going to be so key coming to the end of this thing. All you got to do is be in the top 5, 6 at the end of this, and they've been there all night. So obviously a little bit harder to stay up there towards the end of this thing. More people will be gunning for the front, but I just gotta say I'm impressed with what I've seen from both those guys so far tonight. And again, Duda, yeah, he had that one little maybe bad decision, but he's been up front all night. Bill Hells, the pole sitter, has found his way back up to the front 4 as well. Paul Witt, everybody in the top 5 has been up here all night. So I really feel like anybody in the top 5 right now is probably going to be the one to bring it home in the last 30 laps. I feel like at any other racetrack, that's a safe bet. At Daytona, maybe not so much, but these have been the best 5 all night.
We'll see if they'll continue to be the best 5 as we'll get around through turns 3 and 4. We'll try this again. Now, they still are not good to go to the end of this race. We still have one more pit stop that will be required of this field before we will close out race in action from the TNGG IEL SuperSpeedway Blitz. Zane Bailey will lead the field into the Geico restart zone. Pace truck is off. James Wurtzbot, and looking like he's going to jump to the outside towards the back, but green flag's out, and we're back to racing.
Outside line got a pretty good jump there with Raymond coming through the tri-oval side by side with our race leader. And actually this time a driver from the inside line. That's Duda from that 5th place position moving up to the outside line and giving the outside line numbers. The 21 might get a pretty good run through 1 and 2, just being on the shorter distance. But I think that outside line is going to be really stacked up with a heavy push coming off the corner.
Aaron Raymond with the overspeed rips off the top side. He's going to clear Zane Bailey. Hales clears Bailey. Duda clears Bailey. Mike Allen, I don't think will be able to do to get it done in the bit of an unnumbered 29 truck. Bill Hales pulls around the outside, and Jim Duda will make that look for the second spot. But I think with Zane Bailey helping out Aaron Raymond, who jumped down across the nose, that inside lane is going to now find its momentum again.
Yeah, they will. I'm kind of surprised every time somebody gets clear on the outside line, or we just saw two teammates, I believe, get clear from the outside to the bottom. Every time that people are getting clear, they just automatically take the bottom. I'm kind of surprised to see that. I'm surprised there's not a little bit more commitment to the top line. There seems to be a lot more momentum built up there towards the course of a run. So I'm kind of surprised. Everybody just kind of committed to that bottom line as soon as they get clear. I don't know. I like the top side.
Top side's a good place to be. Bottom lane, if you ask me, it's actually the better place to be. Maybe not for speed, but in the terms of this big wreck, there's more places where you can run to.
That's fair. That's a very fair point. You know, if you're on the outside, you got the wall to your outside, and that doesn't feel too good. And on the inside, you probably got a car. So, and that definitely ain't going to feel any good either. On the inside, you can take that thing hard left through the infield if you really want to and not get any damage on it. So I definitely agree with you in that sense. It's a little bit safer to run the bottom in most circumstances, but I don't know, up towards the front, it just seems like the speed has been on that outside line. If you get a good pusher, that momentum just stays up, and they stay side by side with the race leader. So I feel like that outside line offers you a little bit more options in terms of filling your way to the front or keeping the lead, but it seems like everybody's pretty content to run that bottom line so far as soon as they get it.
Allen and Hales continuing to look strong as they'll power around through turn numbers 3 and 4. Jim Duda still clearing from the bottom. Mike Allen leading the outside lane. Now, Allen's often been a pusher this race, not so much a leader. So I'm curious to see what Allen's going to be able to do from the outside, if he'll be able to pull clear, and if he will, or if he is able to pull clear, will he jump down across the nose of Bill Hales, or will he remain loyal to Paul Witt?
Well, from the trends I've been seeing, he's going to jump down to that bottom line as soon as he gets clear. But the inside line is actually doing really well right now with the two teammates working that bottom side. I imagine their teammates with them both being the 53 truck, but the 29 and Michael Allen trying to make that outside line work still, getting a good run down the back straightaway. Side by side with the second place truck of Jim Duda, trying to side draft down the back, not quite able to get the run that he needed. But that outside line's starting to form up pretty good. They are 3 wide further back for about 12th place as the 07's trying to recover from that EOL that he got on that last caution.
I think the big thing about why we've seen so many drivers kind of jumping down to the bottom, right? You can remain loyal to the outside all you want, and the second truck in line might remain loyal, but the third might not, or the fourth, or the fifth might not. And all it takes is one truck changing lines, and that's going to slow the entire lineup. So they want to be the guy that's doing the slowing them down, not the one that's being slowed down by them as, that's not boding well for the field as the outside pusher just blinked out of existence, and he's not back.
Yeah, that's a little sketch. Feel bad for Michael Allen if he's gone. That's pretty rough being on the outside line trying to take the lead, and all of a sudden you're gone. So unfortunate, but the outside line's trying to get that steam work back. Paul Witt getting a little bit of a push, air push here. 22 come behind him. Kyle Howard, first time we're speaking about the 22 here tonight, doing a good job working his way back up into the top 5 here. Pushing that 429 on the outside. Paul Witt trying to take the lead for the first time.
Pretty wide towards the back of the pack as well, as more and more trucks started to make those daring lunges around through these lines. John Bualda Jr. still running the bottom, and up front, Dylan Simmons starting to open up that third lane on the top side. Oh boy, are we going to go for 4 in turn 3? They thought about it. Looks like they'll back out as the 27 of Brennan Gregg had nowhere to go.
The 07 is making up so much ground on the outside of the racetrack all by himself. I don't know how he's doing it, but he has been side drafting his way up to the front of the field from all the way in the back. Now working himself back up into about the 8th place position, finding himself a spot in that outside line. Great job from Dylan Simmons working his way from the back to the front once again.
Hales and Witt working top to bottom. Kyle Howard and Jim Duda the two primary pushes as they'll work down the back straightaway, and it's turn number 3. Aaron Raymond down low. RJ Buchanan up top and just a bit behind. Here we go, a bit more 3-wide action, and now, oh, we got 2 on the outside wall. One of those was the 03 truck of Rick Schneider. I think the other one may have been, is that the 99? It was the 99, just behind. Dylan Simmons, again, trying to go to the top. Simmons is slowly working his way to the front by himself on the top, on the top side by picking these guys off one row at a time.
Man, just hard racing. Dylan Simmons is doing an unbelievable job on the outside. Has not had any help. Oh, he just about gets into, a little bit of contact between him and the 19 down the back straightaway. I cannot believe what Dylan Simmons is doing on the outside line with no help. But here it comes. He's starting to get a little bit of draft from the 03, and now, the 19 thought about pulling up in front of him in the middle of 3 and 4 and taking that draft, but he's still staying in line. Is Dylan Simmons trying to make that outside work as he's finally got help from the 03.
When do these trucks come down to pit road is going to be my big question. We're 3 wide, 3 rows deep. Even if you pit now, you still have to stop one more time. You're not going to be safe for a while yet, so that's not going to be feeling very good for any of these guys knowing they can't bail out from this chaos, because if they do, they're giving up an entire pit stop worth of time on the racetrack.
Yeah, they've got to get under about 19:20 to go. We've been seeing them making about that distance on green flag pit stops so far. And I got to give a big shout out to the 03, man.
Oh, there we go, there we go. Multiple trucks around, Raymond into the outside wall, and that's going to be 3, 5, 7. That's the whole field collected down at turn 3.
God
bless. That's a parking lot.
I was just giving my credit to the 03, and I don't think he had anything to do with it, but he got involved in it. Heartbreaking for Schneider after he had fixed all that damage.
That is everyone.
That's heartbreaking. That's a lot of trucks involved.
No kidding. And that'll start with RJ Buchanan and more working down into turn 3.
Yeah, we'll have to get a replay of that. That sucks. That takes out a lot of good trucks. 6 trucks crossed the line within 3 seconds of our race leader. Everybody else either caught up or had to slow down heavily for that wreck. So that's a massive one that's going to take out a lot of the field, or at least use a lot of their fast repairs.
Taking a look, they were 3 wide, and it was somebody that got hooked from the top and went down to the bottom. So I think Dale Rabb may have gotten into the 19 here, and well, Simmons gets into the back bumper, and right there, Buchanan came down. I think from that hit, turned Aaron Raymond, the defending regular series champion. Raymond went hard into the wall, collected Schneider, and it is just on from here. On this point on, there's nothing you can do about it.
No, everybody's just kind of a sitting duck at that point. Going into turn 3, the track, it feels like it narrows up because you got to get ready for the corner. Whenever everybody's just flying into that wrecking sideways, you've got absolutely nowhere to go. Maybe you can throw it through the grass on the inside or the apron and try to get through, but at the end of the day, everybody's stuck sideways in front of you. Not really much you can do. As we're watching the 19 just seemed like he wasn't committed to either line and kind of switching between the two, and he moved down to that middle line way too late and just kind of stacked up the field and caused that one from my perspective on that.
Get a better look at that one from the air, and I wonder if he got loose from the hit from Dylan Simmons. This will be a good angle, though. Let's see. So he jumps to the top.
Nah.
No, that wasn't from the hit. You're right.
It seemed like he was trying to commit in front of the 07 and then thought better of it, but he really just needed to commit to the outside line. There was really nowhere for him to go in either lane. I think the better choice would have been the outside. He just came down and chopped himself on the 52's nose. Unfortunate for Raymond, he's been up front all night. He just gets right reared out of nowhere. Bailey gets some right front damage, and it's just on from there. Multiple drivers just taken out with one bad move can just end so many guys' night.
Kyle Simmons slowing up for the wreck, sees all the chaos in front. He was one of the only trucks, I think, that made it through unscathed. He did have to go to the grass, but where else is he going to go at that point? He's one of the very few that made it out. He's now up to 10th.
Yeah, you're searching for some Scooby snacks down there, but I'll take the 1X over damage any day.
Oh, I think everybody would. Just over 20 laps to go. We're going to step back. You're watching the TNGG IEL SuperSpeedway Blitz on Green Flag TV. We're working caution number 5. Well, coming back, we'll have 20 laps to go. Lap 70 is when we will restart this race after a monstrous pileup on the backstretch. We'll get one more look at this one for those just tuning in as to why a good chunk of the field now all of a sudden completely torn up after this absolutely monstrous wreck that cleaned out pretty much everybody behind this wreck when it started.
Yeah, I mean, you just want to look to the right of the screen and just see everybody pile in. That's all you really need to watch. Just not enough time to get on the brakes for a lot of these guys. Heck, everybody that even got on the brakes really have nowhere to go. The 69 did a great job getting on the brakes. Just unfortunate somebody comes down in front of them. Most of the other guys just spinning. I mean, even if you get on the brakes, you're still going 150 miles an hour after a second on the brakes. So not really much you can do whenever somebody slides down the track in front of you. But we still got a lot of the field left. A lot of guys taking their fast repair. And coming down to 20 to go, I'm a little nervous about the pit window because we've been seeing people pit between 17 to 20 laps every pit run. And they pitted around, what, 23 to go? So we're going to be pretty tight on fuel here.
Paul Witt going to be taking us to the green flag, this time by Bill Hales. We'll be beside him on the front row. Pace truck is down and in. And we'll get set to do it all over again. Yellow flag number 5 comes to a close. Still not safe on fuel. Green flag is back in the air.
Yeah, I'm a little sketched out. I feel like maybe we could see a lot of guys saving here. Maybe running 50% throttle, just keeping in the draft, because I do think that we're going to have to pit one more time unless you just save from the get-go on this run. So a lot to pay attention to on this run unless we get that caution flag coming out. But a couple new contenders up towards the front of the field. We haven't seen John Bawalda since he went head on to the outside wall. He's up and running in the 5th place position on the inside line. And our points leader, Michael Gudger, is now in 10th place, so really good job there from the championship leader working his way back up towards the front.
Yeah, Gudger doing a phenomenal job in that number 64 as he's just trying to, I think, survive this race. Remember, he pretty much had the championship locked up effectively immediately. You mentioned he just didn't have to come last. Well, given the fact that you got drivers that are now 30-plus laps down, having had to retire from this race, he effectively does have it completely locked up. But Paul Witt continuing to lead the way now from the top side, although not by much. Bill Hills with having truck in on the bottom.
Yeah, if I'm any of these guys up front, I'm hoping and praying nobody can make it, because I don't think anybody up in the front of this thing running full throttle is going to be able to. But, man, they're side-by-side racing for the win as if they can make it on fuel. Paul Witt on the outside line, getting a huge shove from Zane Bailey, kind of separating themselves from the outside line. And then as soon as he can, Paul Witt down to the inside line, takes that clear and takes the bottom lane as the 21 falls back to the 22, and they're going to try to build a run up. But I do believe the two teammates, second and third place, might try to form up a run and duck to the outside line to get that lead back, unless the 21 can stay on the outside of the 053, which it looks like he's going to be able to do through the trioval.
Now, at this point, if a caution comes out, you will be able to make it to the end. And in fact, I also believe that if a caution comes out, you don't even have to pit to make it. You can just put the clutch in, turn the truck off, and let it coast throughout the entirety of the caution, and you should still be good. Now, I can't promise you'll make it through the one and only overtemp attempt that these guys get if we get down to it, but you could make it if it ends on regulation time.
yeah, I do think that a caution would be enough for these guys to save. I imagine they were saving heavy after they had pitted during that last caution. So one more yellow flag should be enough. And with how hard they've been racing over the last couple laps, I feel like a caution is just a formality at this point. It's going to happen as they're coming off at turn number 4. That outside line's not been able to get that same head of steam going here as the 22 of Kyle Howard's trying to push Zane Bailey, as it looks like they're now making it 3 wide for about that 6th place position. 51 truck of Julian Bellew dipping out to the outside line, but he's got no help up there. We saw it work earlier for the 07, but now the Screw-Doo machine ducking down to the inside line, gonna make it 2 wide once again. Kind of single filing out now from everybody. I want to say there's a lot of fuel saving throughout the field because we have not seen this much single file through the field all night.
Zane Bailey working to the top shelf. He's now the driver leading the Crusade from the outside, but that outside line started to slip back. Top 4 breakaway down low with Witt, Hales, Duda, and Bawalda running nose to tail line astern. And just behind them, Kyle Simmons, who just avoided that massive wreck from about 28th in the field. He's now up and into the top 5 as well because of that avoidance.
Sometimes it just takes a little bit of luck to get you into the position you need to be in to win this thing. All you got to do is be in the top 5 whenever the 10 laps to go kind of drops, right? If you're up towards the front at that point, it's anybody's best guess. It's a game of guessing at that point. But we've kind of picked out some favorites. Zane Bailey up there on the outside line doing really, really well. And again, I think if Raymond can get back up here, I think Raymond has a great shot at winning this thing. He's just stuck back in traffic at this point.
Aaron Raymond, not a whole lot he can do with that number 6 truck, but we'll keep tabs on his progress as we get closer and closer to the end of this race. 15 laps to go, and Paul Witt continuing to hang on against the outside line. Now, I think Witt and Hales are making a great duo here. I mean, these two have linked up, and ever since they got bumper to bumper, try as Bailey might, he has not been able to get up enough to the point where he's been able to break clear.
No, that outside line just doesn't seem to have as much of a head of steam as they had earlier in the race. I feel like it's because some people towards the back are just saving. But hey, they're finally getting a run coming off of turn 2. Zane Bailey able to get a little bit of a run, but they're just kind of stagnated towards the backstretch. Just stalled out as soon as they get even. But finally, the 22 gets to the back bumper of the 21. Might just be a little bit too late though, as they go down into turn 3, as the bottom side is now able to use the shorter distance of the racetrack to kind of gain a little bit back. But they're still stalemate through the corner. Kind of surprising to see the bottom lane not kind of surge forward towards the front. And then coming off the corner, I'm just surprised the outside line's not getting a bigger run, but Zane Bailey looks like he's going to come to the line to lead this lap by just a couple inches.
Witt and Bailey, Hales and Howard working side by side. He pushes into bushies as he dive back down into turn 1. And still, Bailey not able to get enough of a run to make an attack for the lead proper. Now, I think this is another thing that kind of really goes into the technique of super speedway racing. It is not as simple as just you give a bit of a bumper, right? A lot of it really does rely on who is pushing you. You see right there Kyle Howard really wiggling around a lot on the backstretch. Meanwhile, Bill Hales flush with the back bumper. That is where the inside line is pulling so far clear. Kyle Howard is not able to link up with Zane Bailey the way he really needs to on the top shelf, and that is why they have not been able to mount a proper offensive ever since the drop of the green flag.
Super Speedway racing is crazy, it is exciting, and surprisingly, it is a game of finesse. I mean, you just have to finesse that wheel, and you have to finesse the back bumper of somebody whenever you're pushing them. You can't push them in the wrong spot. You got to hook up just perfectly coming off the corners to be able to give a good push. And it's way harder to do than what you expect, and it's way different in every single version of a NASCAR vehicle. You got to do it a little bit different in all of them. So really interesting to see how that outside line has not been able to kind of get that momentum, but I think it's to your point. I think the 22 is just a little squirrely on the back bumper of the 21, and it's allowing Paul Witt to keep this race lead as Bill Hales has just been stuck to his back bumpers. We've got 2 cars into the outside wall. Oh, multiple drivers now around in the tri-oval. Kind of turning into 2 separate incidents as the 2 on the outside were able to kind of get off the wall, but a couple drivers spinning through the infield and taking evasive action to not get any damage.
And that will be the point. Now we can make it to the end, and I'm expecting to see a good chunk of drivers making the run down and into pit road. There were a few different incidents that kind of happened to kind of kick this off. We'll get a look back at this one here. This will be working off of turn number 2. Now, kind of trying to bounce around to find this, but I believe you're looking for the 16, I want to say that is up on the outside line. It's right in front of Dylan Simmons.
Simmons gets out there, and the same thing we've seen over and over and over again tonight. Somebody's on the outside, and the guy in the middle just drifts up up off the corner and clears himself over the outside driver's nose.
Yeah, well, things kind of go to squat there on that one. We'll get a better look for you working off of the top side of the racetrack. Kind of having a hard time on trying to figure out who exactly that was, but I do know we were looking at Dylan Simmons as one of the main drivers in this one. I believe that is the 18 truck that got into the outside wall. That's Roy Huff that we were looking at. So, yeah, Huff, I mean, Simmons goes high, and
yeah, he's at the wall.
I mean, to be fair, though, I don't think that's really a move that Simmons should be making either, to be perfectly honest.
I got to be honest, I wholeheartedly disagree. We're coming to, 12 laps to go right there, 13 laps to go, and we've seen him make the outside line work by himself completely to get up into the top 5. It's go time, and he had the run coming off the corner, and he had the help coming behind him. So I think that was a good move. It was on. He had the run, and, I mean, he was there, and he just got squeezed.
I'm going to look on board. That might I'll paint a better picture, because it's also at the same time, right? It might have happened so quick that the spotter may not have even told Huff that there was a truck there. And I think
Huff was reacting to him going to the outside. I think he was throwing a block, and he was just too late.
I don't know. I genuinely don't know about that one, because, I mean, it's very hard. And working off these corners, I know, speaking from experience, it can be difficult to kind of get a good judgment on that one. But we'll go on board with Dylan Simmons, and this will paint I think this might paint the clearest picture, which not something you say all that often from onboard cameras unless you're looking at record performances.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great view. We're going to see him get a huge run coming through 3 and 4, and I mean, this is a move we've seen him do a lot tonight, right? I mean, he stuck it on the outside of multiple drivers and not had any issue. He did cause an incident on the inside line 30 laps ago. That's totally different. He's on the outside. I mean, he's there. He's absolutely to the outside of the 18.
I don't know. I still think he stuck his nose in where it doesn't belong, but, we'll agree to disagree on that one, I guess.
Hey, fair enough. I'm just saying, if I was in the driver's seat, I would have done the same moves. And I would be frustrated. Right? I would be so mad if somebody cleared themselves across my nose like that whenever I had a run.
From the air one more time, and we'll try to track down the 13 of Mike Bagwell as well. Of Kyle's. Are there 2 13 trucks? There are 2 13 trucks. Okay, just my luck. We'll get a look at Bagwell, and then 86 getting into him, and then Mike Allen got turned around as well, and that's what caused that sort of secondary incident. So secondary-ish. It happened after the first wreck, but I still think you could call them all one big one, considering the other guys got together trying to avoid the top one. That was the aftermath. Yeah,
it was absolutely reaction from the first wreck. But now coming under caution to 10 laps to go. 1 to go at the line also. Coming to green flag, so we're going to have 9 to go at the line, taking the green flag. I mean, there's only a couple people that I was saying I think would win this race that are now still stuck up in the top 5. Bailey and Duda. I guess you could throw Witt in there too. He's kind of proven himself as a contender up here. But Rincon and Hales. Actually, Hales, I completely forgot about Hales. He's been up front all night too. It's really the same guys except Raymond has been kind of kicked out. Unfortunately, mired back in that 13th place position. But a lot of these guys up front are the same names as we've been seeing. But Rincon, I think he stayed out when everybody else pitted to get that last little bit of fuel. So Rincon used a little bit of strategy here to get up front.
10 laps to go. That's what it's at right now. We'll have 9 left when we go back to green flag racing. We know what this means, right, Austin? I mean, we have seen this recipe time after time after time again. We're setting up for overtime.
Yeah, we're definitely setting up for it. And the restarts is what scares me, right? Everybody gets a little bit spread out, and then everybody just comes together all of a sudden. And it's that coming together that it seems to kind of cause a lot of incidents, especially in the late going whenever you have these restarts. I just feel like that's kind of where we see the incidents, like the first big push that somebody gets from somebody who has caught the pack or whatnot with a big run. Really just seems to cause these big incidents towards the end of this race. So I'd really be worried to see how much do they spread out and really pay attention to those spread out zones whenever they clump back together here in the next 2 laps. It's kind of where we're going to see the problem spots, I believe.
Pace truck will look to dive down and in, this time by is George Rincon. Has the lead down on the inside. He did not pit. He is really gambling on this race, finishing under regulation time. He last pit on the lap 69. Green flag is up in the air. We're back to racing at a great jump from Hills at the top. Rincon didn't get going.
Yeah, the 253 trucks on the outside getting a really good jump going down into turn one, nose to tail. They've been committed to each other all night, pushing each other towards the front of the pack, keeping their track position all night long, trying to make that outside line work. And they got 5 trucks lined up, nose to tail on the outside, while the inside's just got 2 right now with a little bit of a straggler back there in the 5. But it looks like that outside line is just hooked up a little bit better. I thought Witt was maybe going to try to make it 3 wide to the inside of the 22. He thought better of it, and they're still nose to tail, 5 deep on the outside line, pushing through.
Jim Duda ducking down low. Bill Hales trying to go with it down to the inside line. But Hales will have to keep that one pinned on the top as Duda will take this one away. He is trying to go for another race win on the season before the end of this race. But Hales, with a great drive, Kyle Howard finding the line and linking it up with the 53 as they power to the point.
Yeah, that outside line, man, it is fast, fast, fast. But Paul Witt looking to the inside line, going to dump out from 3rd place on the outside line and bring that bottom line forward. He's going to get a big push from the 053 coming off the corner, but that outside line is stacked. Oh, coming off of turn number 2, and they're going to get a huge push on the outside as a couple guys are squirrely down the back, able to hang on to it. Still side by side for about 3rd place as the front 2 on the outside line trying to pull away.
It's times like that show the entire pack snaking around where you realize we might not make it to the end of this race. And I think this is one of those key incidents where we're not going to make it to the end.
I mean, that's a safe bet. It's a super speedway race, and we got most of the field all clumped under a blanket right now, going through the tri-oval. 7 laps to go. The intensity's never been higher in the championship race, last race of the season. Everybody wants to end it off on a high note. We're going down to turn 1, 3 wide for P10. As look at this, Dylan Simmons, once again, on the outside of the racetrack, trying to make that 3rd groove work. You just cannot count him out. He's going to find a way to the outside of the racetrack, and now he's got a little bit of help in front of him. Somebody to push down the back straightaway, making that 3rd groove work.
And that's Christopher Howell working to the top side in turn numbers 3 and 4 as they will both lead the charge in the 3rd groove. 3 wide, and they're making some big progress. The field trying to pinch them in, but there's no room to make that work. Duda down to the apron, one to the outside wall. Robin Amaro will spin it around. Caution flag is out. And that might, caution flag not out. Now, okay, now it's out. Okay, there we go. It took long enough. But the big one, I think part 3 at this point, multiple trucks sideways. Does that set us up for a nat green-white checker, I think?
I want to say you're right. With 6 laps to go, yeah, I think we're going to get a natural green-white checkered. So we might have a chance for 2 green-white checkers.
And sorry, that was not Robert Amaro that spun around. I'm so used to Amaro being in the 77. Robert Amaro's not even in this race. It was Harrison Whitehead, the driver that got spun around. So my apologies to Harrison on that one. Let's get a look back, though, on what happened. This was all working coming off of turn number 4, where this whole deal falls apart, and it happened right about where they were 3 wide. How much you want to bet the 77 tracks up into the 88?
Well, don't worry about that yet. Watch the race leader right here get turned down into the bottom lane. That first contact, I think that's really what squirreled everybody up. Yep, the 3rd driver on the outside line has to come up the racetrack, just kind of avoid the incident in front of him, kind of reacts, and unfortunately puts the driver on the outside and the outside wall and kind of kicks off the entire thing. Oh, man, comes hard across down and takes out another couple drivers. That's just tough. Typical super speedway wreck, though.
Howell got into it again. He had already been involved in the first one, and then it kind of got packed up in it for a second time as they were coming off turn 4 and into the tri-oval.
Just one of those chain reaction incidents that you always see at super speedways. Everybody clumped up like that. If something happens up towards the front of the field, even if it does not result in a wreck further back in the pack, it very well could. And that's what we saw here. And actually, I don't even think the 77 ducked to the outside. I think he got a little clipped from the driver behind him who was making an adjustment to the inside because of the contact in front of him, and just clipped the back bumper in a bad way of the 77 and sent him into the outside line.
I'm surprised on how long that caution took to come out. And usually iRacing's pretty on the ball when you get a multi-truck pilot of that, but that took a really long time for that to come out, didn't it?
It really did. I mean, it's because we just got the 2 guys.
No yellow here.
because they're all sideways through the grass.
And here's the yellow right there. Yeah, I mean
it's crazy.
Right at the end, that's a long time to be waiting.
I think they need to extend where the cautions fly for a lot of racetracks, like the SuperSpeedways. I think that you need to include a little bit of the apron and maybe about half the infield.
Yeah.
On the front stretch, because I mean that should be a caution early, 100 times out of 100, because you know they're just going to slide back up across the racetrack, and if they do, it's going to take out a bunch more cars like it did, because they got to go full throttle because it's still green.
Well, caution flag is out, 7th time, and with that, my prediction of 7 yellow flags is down and out. So we'll take one final step back. We'll be back with the rest of your race in just a moment. Lights out as we get set back to go green flag racing. We have currently 3 laps left to go, and this will be a nat green-white checkered. We are still on regulation time. So if we get one more yellow flag, we'll send this race into overtime, but there is still the possibility that this race finishes on the usual schedule, 90 laps. If you're just joining us, you've missed an absolutely fantastic race, and I would highly recommend going back and watching the race in its entirety after the fact. But I can tell you right now, this is setting up to be a very memorable ending for what has so far been an absolutely epic series.
Yeah, I've said it before tonight. I'm a little jealous that I haven't been watching this all year, because this has been absolutely phenomenal since the drop of the green flag. I'm not used to watching SuperSpeedway leagues or whatnot and having it every single week, but man, if every race is like this one, I would love to be along for the entire year, because this has just been phenomenal.
It has been absolutely fantastic, and there is still more to come, as we're going to be looking set to close things out when we go back to green flag racing one final time. Well, potentially one final time. We got one more chance technically here in this one. But we'll go into the restart zone once again. Green flag will wave. 2 laps to go from Daytona.
Well, the 53 got a really good jump there on the outside and actually had to hit the brakes a little bit to prevent himself from passing the 429 of Paul Witt on the inside. That inside line is stacked up pretty good, though, from the four cars. But that outside, the front 3 are stacked up just as good, just not as many numbers, but the outside bandit himself, Dylan Simmons, jumping up to the outside, trying to open up that outside line for himself. Maybe looking to make this thing 3 wide once again, going down the back, and he does. He's looking at the outside of the 5, down the back. A little bit of a block has been thrown by the 5. Not quite able to get there for Dylan Simmons just yet.
I don't think he's going to be able to make that one happen. Not from that far back with a lap and a half to go. Jim Duda continues to pull clear from the top shelf. Paul, but oh, there we go. He's going to get turned for the lead. Duda spins it out, and we're going to crash it off of turn 4. That now sends this race into overtime. And that's the rest of the field. Hard hits into the inside wall.
Well, if everybody hadn't been involved in a wreck before that one, everybody definitely has now. My goodness, that was huge coming through 3 and 4. Always huge whenever the race leader gets turned in front of the field. Gonna have to get another look at that to see just what happened to Bill Hales there. A little bit of damage on the front end of that truck as well. Oh, just tough break to see that coming to the white flag, man. We were so close.
So close, yet so far is how the term often tends to go. And this is going to put a couple of those drivers that didn't pit under that first caution at a bit of a risk here, right? Because now they have to worry about where they're going to be at the end of this thing. We're going to take a long look at this one. This is going to be working all the way around through turns 3 and 4.
Yep, and the problem spot's going to be right up front on the outside line. Duda gets a little bit of a shove and comes high, and then it's just as soon as he gets pushed up to the outside of the racetrack, I couldn't quite tell if he came down or if it's just kind of meeting bumpers in the middle, and unfortunately everybody behind nowhere to go through the middle of the corner. Oh, big stack up, 5 cars all kind of hitting into a star formation on the outside wall. And then, oh, Raymond getting tapped late. Just nowhere to go for multiple trucks. Nothing any of these guys could do to get by this one. Hard impact for the 4. My goodness, the 4 trucks of James Wurtsma, I feel like, has been involved in just about every single one of these.
You know, Wurtsma has not had a great day today. This is going to be a day to forget for the number 4 truck. This is going to be his perspective, working all the way through turns 3 and 4, and you're going to follow him along as he slammed the inside wall.
Yeah, he's well back from the wreck. You see it happening right here. He's slowing down a little bit, giving the guy in front of him a little bit of room on the brakes. Able to get down to the bottom of the... Oh!
Yeah, hit from behind. Oh!
Yeah, and he had to make a huge adjustment to the inside, right, because of the car, or the truck sliding down the field sideways. So I don't even blame the guy from behind either, because, they were fine until the guy comes sliding down the track. Just kind of unfortunate. But that's what you get for the SuperSpeedway wrecks, man. Sometimes you're just unlucky, you don't have anywhere to go. But, man, just a big incident towards the front. The 22 just gave the 053 a big shove right here. As the 053 looks like he's drifting up the track before the shove, and then the 22 gets up and gets him in the left rear, which pushes him even higher, and then as soon as he does that, they just come together as it shoves him out of the groove and just creates the entire mess. Just kind of a little bit of a bad push. A little bit of Duda kind of coming up the racetrack a little bit too much in the center of the corner too, but it's a game of inches at SuperSpeedways whenever it comes to these wrecks. I'm sure Duda wants that one back, because you can just see him slide up the track a little bit. But that's all it takes, is just that little bit. He just changed his lane, half a groove, and that's enough. This late, whenever you got to stay on the throttle, you got to give the push. That's enough to cause that big accident.
A few hard hits to the inside wall. Brendan Gregg backed it in big time. John Walter Jr. took a shot. Roy Huff went into the inside wall. There's a few trucks that got ripped apart by the inside fence.
Yeah, that was a big tough impact for a lot of guys, but now I would like to say it is absolutely confirmed, even with Brad Slagle running in the top 5, being in that P4 position, with us only having 1 green-white checkered. The most laps that our our championship leader of Michael Gudger could lose is 2, and there are only 25 cars that are 2 laps down or better. So worst he can finish is 25th, and that would be enough for him to lock up the championship. So congratulations to Michael Gudger for the championship here this season.
I believe we'll go 1 to green this time by, and we will. 2 laps the distance. What do you think? You got a pick to win this one? Because I think it's about anyone's game based off of that, with the second place driver being turned.
If the caution comes out in the first lap, it's Paul Witt. If the caution does... Yeah. Now, he's got a little bit of right front damage, so he's going to be a parachute down the back straightaway. But the 53 is going to be a bigger parachute. He's got more damage. So I think that inside line is going to take off. It's just, how early does somebody on the inside line make a move to pass him? Does Rincon make the move through the backstretch and try to pass him? If he does, and then the caution comes out, then bam, it's Rincon. But I got to say, if this thing runs green all the way, I'm looking back at, honestly, Aaron Raymond in P7. I like Raymond. He's got a little bit of damage, though, so that's a tough bet. I'm going to go 38 of Thomas Lane Jr. He looks really good on the outside line there on the third car on the outside from 6th place. Clean truck. I could see him maybe making a move towards the outside, making this thing 3 wide at some point if we get the 2 laps instead of just the 1.
Working down the backstretch, and you can feel that tension building, can't you? I mean, this is it's palpable right now, and I have a feeling we're going to be in for a wild ride. This is either going to end in disaster, or it's going to end in something epic. Or it could end the way it could end with neither, like it did at Las Vegas, where somebody gets spun up into one car, spin to the back, and brings the yellow out.
I think we're getting Austin Dillon into the catch fence, coming across the line with the 3 wide photo finish. That's my bet. I'm going crazy.
Pace truck will pull down and into pit road. This time, final restart on the season. If we get one more yellow flag, we'll end the championship under caution. Green flag is back in the air for one last time at Daytona.
Ooh, Rincon did not get a good jump on that inside line, and that's going to allow the outside to get a really good push before they even get to turn 1. The 53 might get clear of the 429 before they get to the corner. He is clear. Does he duck down in front? He does. That's going to leave the outside open to the 052 with a perfectly clean truck just about. And now he's got Thomas Lane Jr. right on his back bumper coming out of turn number 2, trying to give him a push. Who throws a block? Does anybody? It doesn't look like the 53 is going to be able to. Brad Slagle's going to try to take the lead on the outside down the back.
Bill Hales trying to charge through down on the bottom as Slagle trying to make that run for the top shelf. They just got to make it across our finish line. They're not going to get there, though. Here goes Brad Slagle. Turned around, hard into the outside wall. Caution flag is out, and that will give it to Bill Hales, who will take the race win in the season finale.
Man, I want to see that run green. It was going to be so good of a finish, but Slagle just got backed up down the back, and unfortunately, the 2 trucks behind him just made contact to give a shove as soon as they got to the 052's back bumper, and it just ended up being a 3-car push at the perfectly wrong time, sent Slagle right around. Unfortunate for them, but very fortunate for Bill Hales, who did have that right front damage. It was going to hurt him on that last lap as everybody else was able to get to speed, but that caution saved him, and he's able to walk away with the race victory here tonight in the last race of the season for the TNGG iRacing Esports League.
Oh boy, what an absolutely wild night of racing it was, as there were a few hard hits there right at the end. But for Bill Hales, it's the ending he was hoping for. I know he might not be the way he was hoping to take the win, but he had just gotten the lead, and he's going to be able to pull down in front. So Bill Hales will be the unofficial race winner here of the night, as he's going to be looking to close things out. But I can tell you right now, that's not the driver that's going to be celebrated the most, as it will be none other than one Michael Gudger, who will be working his way around through this field. Now, Gudger, he's going to be a bit further down and out. He'll finish the race in 14th. Bill Hales will take the race win as he'll cross the start-finish line here behind the pace truck. But it will be none other than Michael Gudger, who I think has a blown motor. But he will end up being your driver that will take that championship at the end of the night.
Yeah, he's going to do it without a front bumper, but hey, that's just a little bit of style points, right?
I guess we could put it that way.
Yeah, you can just go find that front bumper in the stands, put it on top of your championship trophy in your trophy cabinet, and I think that would be a pretty good piece to take home.
He'll officially come home to finish in 15th, it looks like. Had to let Dylan Simmons through. But for Michael Gudger, it's a great ending for him, and I think could be very well the start of many. As, boy, what a way to close out a championship here tonight for the Daytona International Speedway. As we'll get a chance to go through your official post-race results here after what was an epic night of racing action here from the World Center of Racing. Closing things out, as have a bit of fun back there on the backstretch of this one. It is Bill Hales taking that win ahead of Paul Witt. George Rincon is in 3rd, Thomas Lane Jr. is 4th, Jeff Gilmore 5th, Christopher Howell 6th, Aaron Raymond 7th, Harrison Whitehead in 8th, Julian Bellew, and Jim Duda will round out the top 10.
11th is going to be Roy Huff with Dylan Simmons in 12th. Michael Gudger brings home 13th, while Brad Slagle brings home 14th. Zane Bailey in 15th, Kyle Howard in 16th, Ryan McRoberts in 17th, Mike Bagwell, Thomas Coonan, and Kyle Simmons round out your top 20.
21st place was Mike Campbell Jr., Raymond Hanneman 22nd, Jordan Vicknair will be 23rd. For there you had Rick Schneider, John Bualda Jr., Brennan Gregg, Mike Allen, James Wertzma, R.J. Buchanan, Brett Rucker, Dale Rapp, John Darnell, and Timothy Lee will round out the field. An absolutely fantastic race all around, and I don't think that is a race that we were hoping could have gone any better than it did here in this one. We'll get the chance to jump back and give a chit-chat to all of the drivers here at the end of what ended up being a very wild night of racing action, and we'll, of course, be looking to kick things off first and foremost with Bill Hales. We'll see if we can get in touch with the driver that finishes this race on the top step of the podium here as, well, there we go. I found him way down to the bottom. But Bill Hales able to take home the top spot on the podium. And I can tell you right now, it's not the way you necessarily want to take a race win, but it is the way a race win will fall nonetheless. As Bill Hales joins up in the broadcast booth. Bill, that caution comes out, and it crowns you the race winner of the final race here at Daytona. Walk us through it.
Oh, man, I think we had a good car tonight, man. I just wanted to stay up front all night. That's pretty much what we did. Used the draft. Jim was pushing me really good. We drafted really well together. We could pretty much pass when we wanted to. I used the high line when I needed to get back to the front, and I go right back down to the yellow. But that last 10-lap run, I was going to run the middle. That's the fastest lap that's the fastest lane on old tires. But we had a caution. I had some wheel damage, and I was afraid that it was going to slow me down, but I got a really good push at the start and was able to get down in front of the 429, and just lucky it was out front when the last caution happened.
Overall, I mean, it was a pretty wild race. It went green for a good chunk of the first half, and the caution started to rack up in the second half. At what point did it kind of become apparent this was going to be a race that was probably going to come down to overtime?
Well, we were talking in the Discord that it was kind of calm, but it was like 24 laps to go. We were talking, it's going to get crazy. People are going to take it 3 wide and push and put their nose when they didn't want to be. But my whole plan was to try to stay out front, at least in the top 4 positions. That way I can push whoever's in front of me. We pushed really well tonight. We could push anybody to the front. They got in on my nose. So, yeah, great night. Looking forward to the season starting in February.
And you talk about the season starting in February. Again, you cap it off hot with a high here on a race win. What's going to be the goal then when you return to Daytona come February?
Same thing. Try to qualify up front, lead as many laps as possible. They do it the old-fashioned way. It's a point system, so I want to try to get as many points every race, and that's what we'll shoot for.
All right, I like the plan. Thanks for joining us up here tonight, Bill. Congratulations on the race win, and we'll see you in a couple months in February.
Thank you, buddy. Have a great night.
That was Bill Hales joining us up here in the broadcast booth with the driver out of Mount Washington, Kentucky. That'll take us down to the driver that finishes this race in the number 2 spot. It is Paul Witt. And Austin, you're standing by with our runner-up.
Oh, man, Paul, under that last caution, I was asked who I thought was going to win the race. And I said, if the caution comes out on the first lap, I thought you were going to get it. But it just seemed like on that restart, your line, everybody behind you just did not get up to you to give you the push. Was that really the difference in the race tonight, or is there anything that you could have done different maybe on that last restart?
Nah, that was about it. George, I guess, just didn't get a good restart like I did. And if he would have been just a little closer to me, I think we would have had something for him. I mean, I was coming back when when that caution was coming out, but it just wasn't enough. I was going to just push the heck out of Bill and just try to get him coming out of 4 if I could. So I was just going to stick with him until then and just try to make a late move. It's about all I could do.
Still a P2 tonight. Not too bad, not too shabby. I'm sure you're happy being on the podium. In and off the year on a strong suit. Does this kind of build some momentum for you and give you a better feeling going into next season? Maybe you can challenge for the championship?
Well, I'm hoping to give him a run for the championship. It's just super speedway racing. You gotta be at the right spot, the right time, right position, everything at the right time, and just hope. You gotta watch the people around you. If the guys are around you that you're not comfortable with, you're gonna have to make some moves to get away from them, to get to some guys that you're more comfortable with racing. Once I got up front, I was pretty comfortable after that.
Yeah, I kind of noticed during the race you were kind of in a group of about 4 or 5 guys who seemed to have the mindset of I need to be up front in the entire race in the top 5, while a lot of guys seem to be content with laying back and just willing to go for broke at the end of the race. Do you think that your strategy is really what kind of played into you finishing up towards the front, if I'm correct about what your strategy was?
Well, I mean, yeah, a lot of it was, just trying to get up front. I knew if I could get up front, I could probably stay up front. I was trying to get my teammates up there with me, but we had some strong trucks tonight, and I'm looking forward to next season. I had some bad races through this Blitz here, and I'm looking forward to getting to some of these other tracks, and just it's going to be all on yourself once we get away from super speedway. This is all about team and super speedway racing. So once we get away from that, you can actually get on your own strategy and help your teammates, get on a good strategy too, to advance.
Well, hey, unfortunately you didn't win tonight. Looked like it may have happened, but still, congratulations on a great finish, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do next year.
All right, man, appreciate it. I do want to give a shout out to Robert Jordan. He couldn't be with us tonight, but I just got a message that he was actually in the hospital tonight. So if everybody could just say a little prayer for Robert. Get well, buddy.
We certainly wish our best to him and send our thoughts and prayers out to Robert. Hope that he gets better as soon as possible. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, and once again, congratulations on your top 3 finish here tonight.
Thanks, Austin. Appreciate it.
No problem, Paul. Next up, we're going to go, I believe, to our P3. Actually, I don't see our P3 finisher. We might pull in our championship winner.
Well, I think it's only right. I mean, he is the driver that came home with the most points out of anybody at the end of the night. It might not be a glamorous finish for Michael Gudger, but it is still a championship. Well, Michael, that truck looking a little bit worse for wear, but hey, a 15th place in the busted truck, that's still enough to net you a championship, and it's a unique way to take it, but I think at this point you'll take it. How does it feel to be the second SuperSpeedway Blitz champion?
Not as satisfying as I was hoping, but I guess that'll happen whenever you finish the front end.
Kind of walk us through the race as a whole. I mean, you entered this race with over a 30-point gap. Effectively, you just had to kind of make it to the checkered flag tonight in order to secure that title. Did that affect the game plan at all going into tonight?
Not really. I was just going to sit back and relax and just be there at the end, and for the most part, it worked out until that 10 to go wreck, and I got caught up in that and ruined my race.
And of course, you take that. You came into this series as a rookie, and you will leave it as a champion. Is the game plan then to take the fight to the big dogs with the regular series season in February and see if you can go for the main championship as well?
Oh, of course. I'm always going to give it 110%. If there's a race or a championship to win, I'm going to go for it.
All right, well, we'll see if you might be our Season 6 champion then, but we go racing on February 24th to kick off Season number 6 of the TNGG IEL Truck Series. For now, congratulations on the championship as a whole over the last 8 weeks, and we will wish you the best of luck when we get to it come February.
All right, thank you.
That was Michael Gudger, your new champion in the TNGG IEL SuperSpeedway Blitz. And, well, with that, we are getting close to wrapping things up. And I have to say, Austin, it was a pretty wild night overall, and it speaks to a lot of good things coming on up over the next season if Gudger's going to be back in the fight.
Yeah, that was an absolutely incredible race to cap off the season. Sure, it was an incredible season. The 2 races I got to call were absolutely phenomenal from these guys. So I can't wait to see what they put up next season with the main cast and not being super speedways the entire year. It'll be really interesting to see kind of the cream rise to the top and see who can challenge for that championship. So I'm looking forward to next season starting in the middle of February. Can't wait to get it kicked off.
Next Monday, well, not next Monday, this coming Monday in 2 days' time, the High Tide Race League Racing Cup Series will kick off the round of 8 of the Michigan International Speedway. 4 races remain before they will crown their champion. at the end of January as well. And then, of course, you may have one series coming to a close, but there are 3 new ones kicking off: the OMSRL Truck Series, the Beer League, and, of course, the VSCA Sports Car Championship will all be having their season openers this week. And then, of course, the LTAC All Street Media Cup Series on Friday nights will make its return as well. We'll be here for every single lap from start to finish. For now, from Daytona, it's time to close. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you all next time when we go racing on Saturday nights. That'll be on February 24th. We'll see you all then throughout the course of the week as we continue racing action on Green Flag TV.